This is Rugby Radio
with Stuart Cameron.
Brought to you by Borders College.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio, which comes to you live from one of the most well-known clubs in Scotland this afternoon. That's Goldenacre, home of HERIOT'S Blues. It's the Premiership match between HERIOT'S Blues and Hawick, one of the great fixtures on the calendar, and plenty at stake today, with HERIOT'S trying to get themselves into the Premiership playoffs, while Hawick would book themselves a home playoff spot with a win. We'll be bringing you live commentary from the game. It kicks off at 2 o'clock with Dale Clancy and Sam Mathews. But first, let's go down pitch side to where Hugh Brown is today. And Hugh, this is indeed a mouth-watering clash, isn't it?
It is indeed. Good afternoon, Stuart, and welcome to Goldenacre. Bathed in sunshine, it's nice to say, following last week, of course, when their game against Selkirk here was called off because the pitch had frost on it. But today, no problems like that. Both teams are out just now and on the pitch, getting some training in before the kick-off at 2 o'clock. But this, of course, will just go a long way to deciding who picks up that vital fourth-place playoff spot in the Premiership.
Well, our other game we'll be featuring is a 3 o'clock kick-off at Poynder Park between Kelso and Currie, a game which could also play a significant part in deciding who plays where in the playoffs.
Well, yes, because if Hawick could win today, then that would do Kelso a great big favour. And of course, if Kelso win, then it's all to play for, because we've still got they still have every opportunity to make that fourth place spot.
Now, next week, Hawick are at Selkirk in Selkirk's last home game of the season. Bit of silverware there. Of course, the Bill McLaren Shield is up for grabs. Today, more silverware, if you can call Shield a wooden shield silver, but there are silver plaques on it. But it's the Norman Sudden Shield.
Yes, it is indeed. And that was first played for last year because the Norman Sutton passed away in April 2022, and Hawick won the inaugural contest for the Shield 52-21 at home. And of course, they now bring it to Goldenacre here, and they'll be defending that, and that will be played for this afternoon between the two teams, as well as, of course, those points in the Premiership.
Well, earlier today you caught up with the president of HERIOT'S, Gav Stevenson. We'll be hearing that chat very, very shortly. But first, we're going to listen to your interviews with Hawick head coach Matty Douglas, and first head coach of HERIOT'S Blues, and that is, of course, Phil Smith.
Phil, welcome to Rugby Radio. Today is a crunch match, to say the least, between HERIOT'S and Hawick, because a playoff place is at stake for you.
Yeah, I mean, you've just kind of summed it up. It's exactly what it is. We came into the season hoping if we could get a chance of a top four, it would be great, but again, staying up's the other part of it. But we've got ourselves in a position where, with 3 games to go, we've got a chance. So there's been a big focus on that since sort of our last fixture in December, to see if we can just somehow get into that top 4 slot.
How important is that for a club like HERIOT'S to make the playoff and still be in a chance of actually winning the Premiership title?
Yeah. I think it is massive, no matter what, but more for the group of players who we've had the last couple of seasons. Because of Super 6, there's been a big turnover. So for us to come up from that one and then have a season kind of just getting ourselves back into it, which was last season, we now look like we're in a position we've moved on, and we're now in a position where we're back challenging again. We're not the best team in the league, but we're challenging. And once you're in a challenging position, the momentum within the club is great, because our second 15s are going well, our 2As are going well. So it's a real boost at the end of the season to have something more than just an end of season fixture like game 18. If there's a playoff, etc., it brings an extra bit of focus for the season.
You didn't get to play last week here at home because of a frozen pitch. So are the guys a bit rusty?
Yes, I mean, it was disappointing last Saturday for everybody, but it was what it was. But we've not played or played any sort of contact stuff since December. So on Thursday night we had a kind of a trial match almost at training, because we couldn't train here on Tuesday night because of the weather, so we had to go on the Astro. So Thursday, just 2 nights ago, we went just live and to give the boys a chance just to get some sort of contact, and I'm hoping everybody got through it, because it's kind of like if you were a school teacher taking a group of kids and you had no contact for 6 weeks and had a game, you'd get into trouble. So it's kind of it's the same principles, you've got to give them something to get ready for the next part of their game, which is a fixture against Hawick.
Now the Super Series is over and you've got some of the players back.
Yeah.
Does that make a difference to the team, and how does that work in terms of the guys that have played most of the season? Suddenly they have to drop out to let some of the Super Series players in, or does it not work like that? How do you choose the team?
Yeah, so there's a couple of players there, Struan Cessford, who's kind of key no matter where he goes because he's a tight head, but we've always said, whether it was pre-Super 6, that if players came down like from Edinburgh, we would always play them. If we felt that Super 6 players were to ever drop down, we would always play them. So that's kind of a message we've always had at the club, is that if the perceived better player comes down, we would play them and never would filter down. However, if they're not good enough, we don't feel they were good enough to play, they wouldn't get a game. But him and Ross Jones today definitely are good enough, so they're coming into the squad.
What's your feeling about the Super Series generally? I mean, it's had a lot of criticism this season. They put in a Futures 15 team that were really hammered most weeks, and it's not had the best of publicity. And the SRU are now looking at whether it has a future or not. What do you think?
I honestly think it's poor that they've had the bad publicity, because as a product, it's actually very good. If you actually go and if you ignore all the outside stuff and say, let's watch a game of rugby, it is more physical, it is a higher level, it just is, and that was its aim. The problem is people don't like it because of all the bits around it, but if you actually came and watched it, you would see, I would be, certainly out of the 6 sides that got it, I would be surprised if all of them wouldn't come till they win the Premiership, because I think they are that much better.
Today, one of the things you're playing for is the Norman Sudden Shield, which last season Hawick won. Of course, you'll be keen to take it off them.
Yeah. Any silverware at Goldenacre, we're keen to get our hands on. So it's just great. We've got something to play for on top of our top 4 spot, and the fact that it's our first game of 2024. That's another bit of excitement for the boys. So we'll just see how it goes.
Quick bit of team news then. I think I'm right in saying you've got Rory Steele coming in at fullback. Any other changes?
So Niall Docherty called off on Thursday with he's got an illness. So young Pat Spence is coming to middle row. He'll start. Ennis Hill comes onto the bench. But other than that, we're pretty much as we were going to be against Selkirk, and we're pretty much at full strength, I would say, with the odd player that might come in and make a difference. And we've got a young hooker starting or on the bench today, Flynn, who is one of these travelling New Zealanders who's ended up coming into Goldenacre with his brother a few months ago. So we'll have a look at him today, but he's meant to be, well, he's not meant to be, he is a very good player, and it's his first shout at first 15 level.
Do you think he'll get a game?
He will definitely get a game.
Finally then, Phil, I've got to ask you about a prediction then. Can you beat the league leaders and current champions?
I believe we can. There is no doubt they are the team to beat as far as they are the champions, the league leaders. They're just a really strong rugby town, but rugby team at the moment who just are on this momentum of not knowing how to get beat, really. If you look at the game against Currie and others this season. So we've just got to try and be in it for as long as we can, because we feel as if we've got the game to beat them, but we've got to match their kind of rugby nous or their rugby knowledge of what they're doing, because we're young. If you take away Jason Hill and Graham Wilson, we're young, so it's a challenge that they want to have, and I want us to hopefully take it to them and say we're here, because if we were to get a playoff spot, it's likely it would be Hawick.
Well, whatever happens, let's hope it's a good game. Thank you for talking to me.
Thanks.
Matty, welcome to Rugby Radio. Today is a massive clash between Heriot's and Hawick, isn't it?
Yeah, a huge game in context of the playoff season, and look, I think the last couple of games for us have been massive. We've had to deal with away trips, and then also the games that we're playing at the minute are going a long way to dictate either who's finishing fourth. And look, I said it on Stuart's Rugby show that we've got a lot of targets that we want to achieve, and we know today what we need to do to try and get a home semi-final. So it's it's not just a game at Goldenacre, it's a big game in context of the season.
There's always pressure on the champions to defend their title, and of course teams are looking to dethrone them, aren't they? And Heriot's are no exception to that, and they have an extra incentive, as you've mentioned, getting that 4th place playoff. Yeah, it's
always tough. I think this year's been even tougher than it was last season. I think more mentality wise, we went through an unbeaten season. We're going away and home and we're beating teams, and when we came back in this year, everybody was wanting to beat us. Every team that came to Mansfield, and when we go away from home, I find that when they play Hawick, they raise their game, and for me, that's what we wanted to achieve at Mansfield, is for teams that want to come and beat us. But look, the pressure's massive, but I think there is a shift in that these boys they've been around the block. We've been in some tough situations the last couple of seasons, and I get a buzz, and the players get a buzz off these games. Like, we just approach it any other game, but there is a sense today that if we get our job right, then there's light at the end of the tunnel for playoffs, and ticking checklists off that we started with at the start of the season.
What do you think about the playoffs? There are people who say, look, the team that are top of the league at the end of the season should win the league. Do you feel the playoffs are a good or a bad idea?
Well, probably finishing top of the table last year, I would scrap the playoffs, but I think there's an argument for both. I think the year before, I probably would take my hat off to Currie, that they, looking at them going an unbeaten season after we beat them, they should be league champions, and it's biased for me to say, but we went through the season, finished top, and then you have to get back on the horse and you have to go again in pressured games. So look, I think it keeps supporters entertained. I can only comment on what we saw at Mansfield semi-final and final last year. The numbers that we got through the gates, that's a really good bit about it. But then you're probably clashing with the cup a little bit. You're getting that high, and whatever great kind of final that we had, and then you're having to get back on the horse, and you're having to go for a cup as well, and it's trying to get that balance. Is it finishing a league and then having a really good go at the cup? I don't know, but at the minute that's what's in place, and look, we have to buy it, and we have to back it, and that's it. You finish top of the table or top 4, you then have to go on and win the playoffs. So that's what we know, and that's what we prepare for.
And looking at the cup that comes round in March, you're obviously defending that trophy, but you're the only border side in the competition. Yeah,
and I think I saw a bit in terms of whatever, that we were just in it because we won it last year. Like that is not the case. We're in it because we want to win as many trophies. I'm greedy, I'm hungry. The players that's what drives them, that's what they come to training for. And just to say that we're in it because we won it, that's not the case. We want to be in it. I can't comment on other Borders clubs. That's up to them if they feel they've got a congested season. But for us, we've got a squad. We'll manage it. And look, once the whatever happens league-wise, then targets turn to the cup, and we'll approach it like the same way we've done with the season that we've just had.
And talking of trophies, you're playing today against HERIOT'S for the Norman Sutton Shield for the second time. You're the current holders, so there's that to play for today as well.
Yeah, there is, and it was quite special last season when we played for it. Obviously Norman's grandson Daniel played last year and just struggled with injury, and there's a real connection with the club to what Norman achieved, and it's great to have just another little bit of silverware there, and always it's more just remembering them. And look, again, we'll try and win the game and retain that, and hopefully it can come back down the road.
As far as team news is concerned, you've not got Dalton Redpath and Ross Graham this week, but you've got Jay Linton back in. Yeah, look, we've had to make some forced changes this week. Dalton's actually waiting the arrival of his missus is pregnant, so she's due any time. So it's obviously that's a wise decision. And Ross, as we knew for a while that he was away this weekend, but that does open up the door for somebody else. Jay's came back today, but just with the unavailability of Fraser Wilson through being selected Scotland 20s, Jay will start in the middle row today. I just feel that back row's performed extremely well the last couple of weeks when he's been missing, but to have Jay Linton come back in is a massive boost. Before his ban he was arguably the best player in the league, so it's great to have him back. He's been hitting the gym the last couple of weeks because he's in some nick, but just excited to see how he goes in the middle row today, and it gives Sam Frizzle, the force captain, a start today, and we can bring Rudy McLeod back onto the bench, and also Marcus Brogan, who's been released by the 20s to play today. So the squad hasn't changed much. We're probably one position, but apart from that we're good to go at full strength. Prediction then, Matty? Tough game, Hugh, really tough. I'm watching the wind here, it's going into the bottom corner. HERIOT'S are a different proposition to last week. I feel last week defensively we were excellent, best I've seen us, and we worked really hard, but in different conditions. HERIOT'S will move the ball about a bit more. They've got some experience in there. They'll play in the right areas.
look, we want to nullify that. We want to get off the line and try and stop that. That's where we feel we'll get a bit of gains there if we can stop that. And then it's just about us developing our attack when we get into that 22. But everyone this week will want to play in their half. And look, I'm hungry the day. I want 4 or 5 points. That's the bottom line. And the mentality side, the players are ready to go. And look, we just need to go in and put a performance. It's business end, and we need to be hitting form now.
Matty, thanks for joining us on Rugby Radio.
Perfect, good man. Cheers.
Matty Douglas, and before that, Phil Smith talking to Hugh Brown.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
If you're looking to develop or hone your green skills, look no further than Borders College, your local community college. Visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whisky making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Yes, indeed. Here at Goldenacre, we're about 14 minutes away from kick-off in this big match between HERIOT'S Blues and Hawick. Well, Matty Douglas, of course, was talking with Hugh Brown earlier on. He was also talking to Phil Smith. We've heard from the two head coaches of the teams. Now we can hear from the president of HERIOT'S Blues, Gav Stevenson, who spoke with Hugh Brown earlier today.
Gav, welcome to Rugby Radio. It's the first time that Rugby Radio has been live at Goldenacre. It's a very special day for us, so thank you for joining us. HERIOT'S has been around since 1890, a very proud club. Today is a very important game against Hawick, obviously, because Hawick, top of the table, you're gunning for fourth place in the playoff, aren't you?
That's right. It's a very, very big game for us. I mean, the next two games, I guess, the run-in, which unfortunately are at home. Our Selkirk game was cancelled last weekend, but we've got to play that again. So we've got Hawick this week and then Hawks and then Selkirk. So it'll be an interesting run-in. And yeah, you're absolutely right. We are very, very keen to get that fourth position. That was the target from the beginning of the season, effectively. And we've had a couple of close ones along the way, but we're still fighting for it. Still fighting. So yeah, very big game. It'll be a very, very tough game. Hawick are maybe that extra level above us in performance-wise, or have been in the last year or so. But at home, you never know. A good day, we could maybe sneak a wee win here.
Now, of course, we said that you're going for the playoffs. So that's very important for the club, isn't it? Because it means that you've still got a chance of actually winning the Premiership.
Yes, it's very important. I mean, obviously we've only been back in the Premiership a couple of seasons following beginning of Super Series, and then after the disappointment of Super Series when we made the playoffs, actually won, finished top and we're cruising quite happily there, but obviously came a ground against Stirling. But yes, really important for the club to reach for that top spot. It's where we've been thereabouts in the days gone by. So we're very, very keen to get back up there, particularly in light of what the potential for Super Series may or may not hold when Scottish Rugby come out with our strategy.
Well, let me ask you about that, because HERIOT'S, of course, have a team in the Premiership, but you also have a team in the Super Series. Yep. You obviously are a fan of the Super Series. Do you think it has a future?
I am a fan. I think most people who have been involved in it, have enjoyed being part of it, and I think the rugby has got better. The standard has risen. It's perhaps not risen to the levels that I think COVID had a bit of an impact on that, obviously. But I don't know. The good money's on probably disappearing, but nobody's really quite sure yet.
Yeah, but I think it got a lot of criticism this year, particularly because they put in a futures 15. They were getting gubbed 80-90-0 each week.
Yeah. I think if I'm going to be a little bit harsh here, I don't think Scottish Rugby that decision was a little bit unwise in terms of how they did it and how they ran it. I think that it could work, and I think if you add a couple of teams and make it a Super 8, perhaps even a Super 10, but I don't know if financially that's a doable thing to do. I think it was good for the futures to get that level of rugby. The problem Scottish Rugby have, in my opinion, is that they've got 60 or 70 professional players at each club, most of which don't get a lot of competitive rugby, and therefore the Super Series was an opportunity to give some of these guys, particularly younger ones, some good competitive rugby. And I think if you look longer term at Scottish Rugby, I think we'll be okay this year and next year in terms of our standard of play at national level and professional level, but it's who's coming through and where they're coming from after that I think is the biggest challenge. And John McGuigan said this a number of times, that I think they have to look for the pathway and how they get players through from a young age, 15, 16 all the way through, and get them up to the level that we need from a professional game.
I mentioned that Heriots have a proud history. I mean, the club has never, it's always been the top division of whichever way the leagues have been structured, never been relegated. You're running two teams. You're running, as I said, one in the Premiership, one in the Super Sixes, and you've brought on some very famous Scottish internationalists over the year, like Andy Irvine and the Milne brothers, amongst, to name but a few. So it's a club that really likes to develop people and hopes that it's bringing them through to higher levels of playing.
Absolutely. I mean, our goal here is simply to provide our players with, the most competitive, best level of rugby we can give them. And whilst that is working very well at Premiership level and up to now at Super Series level, our twos, who are, I think, going to win their league today through at GHA, and our 2As, which is our kind of development team. The issue is we don't have enough games for these guys, and it's just because of the player numbers in the country and other clubs, not being able to field teams. So, you're absolutely right. We do pride ourselves in providing, the best level of rugby possible here. We've got a great set of coaches, and all the volunteers we have who work tirelessly, out of sight to make sure days like today happen. So,
do you think there are some of the players that will appear today in the game that might end up wearing a Scotland shirt?
You never know. It's a bit of a mix, our Premiership, of some seasoned veterans that have been around a while, and may not play after the season, some of them, but and some really good, exciting young players. We've got people like Rory Kirkpatrick, whose father was obviously a very, very good rugby player. So him and some of his cohorts are I don't see any reason why they couldn't. It just depends on getting their opportunity to get into that, or to be part of the Scottish rugby setup. Whether they get through, I think again it comes back to what the strategy is for the pathway and how you move from a club like ours or the Premiership like ours up into the professional ranks.
And of course, the SRU is going to get a new chief executive after Mark Dodson steps down.
They will.
That will probably make a difference. But are you optimistic about the future generally of Scottish rugby? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a good question. I hope the next chief executive is I think Dodson did a great job up to a point in terms of the financials and from the corporate side and sponsorships and all that sort of stuff. I think he did what he was paid to do to some degree. Although when you look at what John McGuigan's done in his short tenure, just in terms of his visibility, he's been around, he's been out and about, he's been trying, and he's obviously fully involved in the strategy piece going forward. So, am I optimistic? Yes, if the right people are brought in. If the right people are brought in at Scottish Rugby to help drive that strategy forward, who understand that it's not just all about the professional sides, whilst that's where the money comes from, and ultimately ticket sales at Murrayfield and the Hive and what have you, then it's how that money is invested a little bit more beneficially for the club game and the grassroots game, in order to start bringing those players through as early as we can to bolster our professional and national setup.
Gav, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Always good to find out what's going on behind the scenes at clubs and how they're looking to the future. Another big game today, though, is in National 2, where top of the table Peebles are taking on 9th place Berwick, and covering this one for us today on television and radio is Ewan Welsh.
Thank you, Stuart. Yes, it's a blustery day here at the Gates, and Peebles are looking for a win, which if they were to succeed with that mission, then they'll remain top in National Division 2 at the close of play today. They are unbeaten in 8 games, albeit a draw in their last match a fortnight ago, and so they'll be looking to get back to winning ways, with Falkirk and Newton Stewart hot on their heels in the league table. Berwick are unfortunately at the other end of the league table, and they're looking to scrape together as many points as they can from now to the end of the season. They've got a massive win a fortnight ago against Aberdeen, who are now the only team below them in the league, and so Colin Young will have fired his troops up to play off the back of that and get some more points on the road today here at Peebles. Kick-off is 2 o'clock.
Both teams wanting points for completely different reasons today. Falkirk in second spot, breathing down the neck of Peebles with just 1 point separating them. Falkirk, they're playing Kirkcaldy at home today, so they will see an opportunity to go back to the top of the table, while Aberdeen Grammar have a derby against Gordonians this afternoon. There are 5 points adrift of Berwick, and they've played one more match than Berwick. All games kick off at 2 o'clock today in National 2. But back to the Premiership, and it's a 2 o'clock kick off for Mar against Jed Forest, Glasgow Hawks versus Musselburgh, and also Edinburgh Accies against Selkirk. We can hear from Selkirk head coach now, Sesh Henderson.
We're really disappointed last week's game was cancelled. However, the game was called off on Saturday morning, so we immediately just got to refocus on this week's game against Accies. Luckily we got indoors at Ian Stark's place last night, so it was a really effective session. Got a lot of work done. So I guess the good side of that is we've no real injury concerns for this week's game, so the squad will remain the same. You know, the guys are now just want to get on that park and start playing. They're buzzing for Saturday to put a show on up at Rayburn Place. I managed to get along and watch them last week, so that was it's going to be a tough battle up front. Really good set of forwards. Again, with some handy backs as well for Accies, so we need to play an intelligent game against them, having no play for 6 weeks, and use the ball when we do get ball in the red zone. Make sure we come away with points. Because if we do that and keep the scoreboard ticking over, we'll be in the game. Hopefully, the last 20 minutes. Then, after that, anything can happen. And if we know we can perform the way we can, then there's no reason why we can't come away with points on Saturday.
That's Sesh Henderson. Now, both Mar and Jed Forest coaches have been giving us their thoughts ahead of their game at Fullerton Park today. Jed's David Grieve and first head coach at Mar, Kenny Diffenthal.
Another weekend without any rugby. Guys are desperate to get some rugby under the belt. Boys have been working really hard at training, so let's hope this week the weather lets up a bit so we can actually get some rugby played at Fullerton. Jed will be a tough task for us, even though they haven't gone really well. They always seem to raise their game against Mar, so let's hope that the rugby goes ahead so we can get a good contest.
This week we're up to Mar, which is probably one of the toughest away grounds in the country. Squad wise, we've had a few call-offs already. We'll have to kind of wait and see towards the end of the week to see how strong we're going to be. But whether we've got a stronger squad or not, it's got to be a tough game. So we just kind of have to go up there with, again, absolutely nothing to lose and have a go.
Nothing to lose indeed for Jed Forest at Mar today. With other Premiership fixtures then, we've got Edinburgh Accies against Selkirk, Glasgow Hawks against Musselburgh, Mar against Jed Forest, as we've just heard, Kelso versus Currie. In National 1 there was a game last night, GHK 25, GHA 30, so one losing bonus for GHK, all 5 points going to GHA at Old Anniesland. Bigger will take on Watsonians today, Gala against Glasgow Accies, Highland versus Ayr, and Melrose against Dundee. Those last three all kicking off at 3 o'clock today. In National 2, Falkirk v Kirkcaldy, Gordonians v Aberdeen Grammar, Peebles against Berwick, Stewart's Melville against Newton Stewart, Stirling County against Lasswade. And in National 3, it's Boroughmuir versus Hamilton, Hillhead Jordan Hill versus Howe of Fife, Orkney against Dumfries, Preston Lodge v Allen Glens, and West of Scotland versus Cartha Queen's Park. Finally into Division 4, the 4 games going ahead today: Dunfermline v Greenock, Murrayfield v North Berwick, Perthshire v Garnock, and Whitecraigs against Stewartry. Well, we're not far away from kick-off here at Goldenacre now, so let's join up with our commentary team for today. Sam Mathews, and first of all, a very good afternoon to Dale Clancy.
Good afternoon, Stuart. Thank you very much. Spectators are starting to filter into the stand for this really important clash in the Premiership. Not a lot of games left for either side, and this is the penultimate tie for the table toppers Hawick, who can all but consolidate their position at the top of the table with a victory here on the road in the capital for the 4th week in a row. So a victory would certainly nail down some advantage ahead of the playoffs, and the playoffs are firmly in the mind of the nails at Goldenacre at the moment, because they know that they need to pick up a victory this afternoon against this Hawick side. And if they do, they can put a bit of pressure on those teams round about them in Brackies and Kelso, breathing down their necks in 4th position, with some important games in the Premiership this afternoon, which will certainly start to tell a tale come about 5 o'clock this evening. But first up, we've got Sean Muir leading his team out onto the pitch at Goldenacre with the Green Machine, are called the Green Machine because they are littered in the colour. It's a green top with the green shorts and green socks with some white just filtering across that top on front and back. And we're just awaiting the arrival of the home side, Heriots, here. And it's relatively pretty much perfect conditions here at Goldenacre. There's a little bit of wind. The flag's fluttering on the far side adjacent to this historic stand, but the long shadows cast from behind the stand. The pitch itself is pretty much half in sunlight, half in shadow and shade, and it means that Ali Johnston can emerge from the tunnel, emerge from the shade, and lead Heriots onto the field. Hawick are awaiting, just almost lining up on the right hand side here as we watch on from the commentary position. Heriots in their traditional navy and white hoop tops with the navy shorts and the navy socks with the white trim. They're going to line up with Rory Steele at fullback, Paul Christie and Cammy Meagher on the wings. Katsuna and Jones are in the centres with Graham Wilson and Luke Townsend is the halfback partnership. Munro, Jackson and Cessford are in the front row with Spence and Keogh in the middle row. A very robust back row in the form of Jason Hill, Rory Kirkpatrick and Ali Johnston for the home side. Just about ready to kick off, and it's going to be Heriots to start, kicking towards a team which line up of Kirkford, Morgan Tate, Ryan Purvis, Mitchell and Welsh in midfield. We've got Lightfoot and Armstrong as your half-back pairing, and Muir will captain the side alongside Rennick and Little in the front row. Frizzle and Linton, the returning Linton, in the second row with Brooker, Rennick and Graham in the back row. And it's Townsend to get play underway here at Goldenacre. It's been well received initially there from Ryan Purvis, who's making his first start for Hawick this afternoon. Just outside of the 22, Declan Lightfoot just dribbles the ball back with his right foot of that elongated ruck and sets up for a box kick downfield. It's been charged, so it's not went the distance that perhaps the young scrum half would have liked, and it's been scooped up there by Paul Christie. He managed to just gather the ball, he took it into contact, and then he's run down a blind alley because it looks like Andrew Mitchell had his mitts all over that ball. So he's certainly spared the blushes of his scrum half, because they could have come under a little bit of pressure from Heriots. They win the penalty, and Kirkford's going to kick downfield, and it gives us a chance to get the thoughts of Sam Mathews.
Yes, good afternoon everyone, thank you. And as you can see, an early statement there, piece with Kirkford kicking just outside of his own half, actually quite a shallow angle kick from himself there, but as you can see, Declan Lightfoot could have had a tough start to the day there. He tried to get himself out, but great chase down by Rory Jackson there. He had a very impressive outing when I watched them play Accies down at Rayburn Place the other week, so it'll be interesting to see how he performs again. Yeah,
Ian Kenny, the match official, just getting the line out set in front of the stand. It's been flapped against the head. Rennick not able to find his target, so it's went into the hands of Heriots, who have to try and break free from inside their own half through Ali Johnson, who is the captain for Heriots this afternoon. They also try and reply with an elongated ruck and try and set up a more attractive position for Graham Wilson to kick downfield. A little bit more length and a bit more protection there, as it's just been kicked down the throat of Kirkford. He thinks he spots some space over that far side and drills a ball just shy of the 22-metre line and just relieves the pressure. And again, Kirkford is a steady hand at fullback for Hawick.
Yes, and it'll be interesting to see, because he's actually got where Hawick have set up in the first half, they actually have themselves playing with the wind, but also the sun is shining right down on that corner, so it's kind of a double whammy. So you'll expect to see Cammy Meagher, he's going to have a tough first half this afternoon, because he's got to play with the sunlight directly in his eyes in the low winter sun, and he's got a wind that's knocking the ball out at all angles, so he won't be 100% sure of where it's landing until it's 10 feet off the ground.
Secure at the line out, Heriots bring it down, and it's something that they've certainly had in their repertoire for a few years, and that driving maul has just managed to release the rampaging Rory Jackson, who scampers his way over the halfway line straight from the 22. It just parted in front of him in the bleached blonde hair of the Heriots hooker. had a lot of room to run into it. Now, trying to break free from the Hawick challenges, which are on rushing just over that halfway line in the sunny spot here in the capital in this field. It's some intricate play from the forwards, offloading as well from Ross Jones. One-handed offload, it eventually does find Rory Steele, experienced fullback from his time with Watsonians, and obviously Dumfries as well, where he hails from. Heriots round the left-hand side now through Pat Spence. Wilson, another experienced player, onto the perhaps a lesser experience of Townsend, who's just been able to eventually release Cammy Meagher. Wilson now over in the 10-metre line, slows play down but does find Townsend, who drills the ball backfield. Jones thinks he spots some space out wide, and there's oodles of it just there for Christie to run into, but the ball is just dribbled shy of the 22-metre line and go out for a Hawick throw into the line out.
Yeah, and you can see what Heriot's really trying to do. Townsend, he's a young 10, but he's a good distributor of the ball. He keeps the game ticking over. And Kenta Katsuna, obviously he's got the sevens background, he does a lot for Hearts and Balls as well. He's that real playmaker, sort of game wrecker for them. He's the jinky, mazy runner, and so it'll be interesting to see how these two coincide as two playmakers for this team.
At the line out, Sean Muir comes across. He's just going to have a little conversation with Fraser Rennick, the ex-Southern Knight, and taking advice from a player who has never let Hawick down, never left the club. And he lifts at the front of the line out to find Stuart Graham. It's been brought down, and now the green bulldozer tries to form and just nudge this Heriot's side further up the park towards that 10-metre line in the shadows of the stand here at Goldenacre. It runs to ground and the ball is presented back. The referee, Ian Kenny, spots it. There's a penalty in there for stealing off the ball. And it's going to be an easy kick to touch here for Hawick to try and eat away at some territory. And I think we obviously can't undermine the importance of this game as well. So Hawick, they know a victory of any sort, bonus points perhaps are not as crucial for them, but it would all but secure that advantage going into the playoffs, not just for a home semi, but potentially a repeat and a home final if they were to come through that. But Heriots, perhaps, they've got a lot more to lose in this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. We spoke about on the radio last week about how Hawick did Heriots a favour with their win over Musselburgh last week, especially nilling them at home. But now, interestingly, there'll be other teams like Kelso and Accies that will also have an eye on this game today, because, as you say, if Hawick can go through and take away Heriots' almost game advantage on these teams, it will be really interesting. So yeah, a game that's important for both teams here, but also 3 or 4 other teams around them in the table.
Rennick, he manages to find Graham at the line out this time. He's accurate, so the first one never went to plan, second one does. It's now against the grain, and waiting there is Lee Armstrong, and he tries to offload off the deck, eventually does at the second occasion. Lightfoot tries to stab a ball through, but it's just ricocheted off the limbs of the Heriots players who were trying to charge the young scrum half down. Now Wilson thinks he spots a little space at scrum half, but he's just been engulfed by green shirts on the 10-metre line. The Heriots players have to charge in to try and clear free, but there's been a knock on in there, so the referee is going to award the put into the scrum to Heriots, and it'll be an interesting scrum as well, because that's 2 formidable front rows, especially the likes of Struan Cessford in there for Heriots, and then we've got Muir and Nicky Little, the experienced duo there with 380 appearances plus between them against a side who perhaps throughout the whole team don't have as much experience as perhaps this Hawick side do.
No, but like you say, they have some players that have got really decorated past. Wilson's he's been at Heriots as long as you can remember. Steele's got great experience at Watsonians, and here, like you say, Struan Cessford is a Super Series player, so they'll be relying on these big players to come against what is a formidable squad. And like you say, in the scrums, what's really interesting is Hawick are almost playing with 5 back row players this afternoon. You look at the second row where Jay Linton's pulled on the jersey today. There's players that could make a case to play in the back 3 all over that, and you've got Fraser Rennick, who's an honorary back row as well. He's got unbelievable skill in hands for a hooker.
The referee and Kenny just waiting to get the scrum set in the slightly cooler part of the park here at Goldenacre. It's a glorious day here in the capital. There's just over in the far field as well. There's another game. It looks like it's potentially Heriots Boroughmuir over on that far side. But here we've got top of the table league action as Ali Johnson breaks free from the scrum. He just hacks it downfield. Lee Armstrong's having to scamper back and get the ball. Eventually does. The referee, however, is spotted. There's a penalty. I think that's a penalty that's just been awarded against Hawick. And it looks like it potentially was Callum Rennick who was guilty of that. Already got 2 yellow cards this season. So Ian Kenny has awarded a penalty to Heriots. And on the balance of play as well, you almost feel like we've been looking towards the right-hand side of the park, because Heriots have enjoyed quite a lot of possession, and Hawick have found it quite hard to find that consistency and really impose themselves in this game.
They have, and they've rushed it as well. You mean, from the very first phase of the game, Declan Lightfoot's charged down kick, and then once again his stab through grubber didn't work. So you imagine Matty Douglas and Bircham and the team will be looking to just get a bit of composure in the next 5 minutes.
Jackson to throw into the line out, ball above his head, he hits his target at the front, it's been brought down, and Heriots then congregate on that driving maul. They just twist it to the left hand side, the referee shouts that it's still the same maul, and Heriots try to find a bit of joy here, but it looks like it's just been disrupted by this Hawick side. Kitsuna finds Townsend then hacks it across the field, and are coming together in the air, and it was Morgan Tate who jumped into the air. He was clattered by Cammy Meagher, and all the players now rushing across to get their points across in their versions of events. A couple of scrags of shirts as well, but that quickly simmers away, and the referee gets over to have a conversation. Play has stopped here at Goldenacre while the match officials are just going to have a conversation, but it certainly looks like Morgan Tate has taken a sore one. But 9 minutes gone here, still scoreless between Heriots and Hawick. It's 0-0.
Elsewhere in the Premiership, Edinburgh Accies 5, Selkirk 0, an early score at Rayburn Place there. Mar 12, Jed Forest 0. Tries from Callum Fullen and Jake Jacobson, one of them converted for Mar at Fullerton Park today. In National 1 last night, GHK 25, GHA 30 is obviously a final result because that was played last night. In National 2, Falkirk 7-0 to them against Kirkcaldy. Gregor Brody getting the try for that one. Boroughmuir 7, Hamilton 0 in National 3, and in National 4 at the moment, Dunfermline 5, Greenock Wanderers 0. And in the bowl today, first round, it's Hoytlandine 0, Duns 7, and that match was kicking off at 1:30 today.
Great clearance kick downfield from the penalty for Hawick. Kirkford has pretty much just wrung every last ounce of water out of that kick there. Every last drop of that he's managed to exude and get his team further up the field and onto the halfway line. A chance to throw into the line out now. It's straight, but it's again been disrupted by this Heriots side, who are trying to juggle it in midfield, and Townsend is clattered as he tried to just dive towards the ground and get that ball under control. It's just squirmed free of his grasp and got a bit sloppy in the middle of the field here at Goldenacre, but it's a great kick downfield from that penalty. But it did look like there Hawick were under a lot of pressure. They'd conceded the penalty advantage, and I do think if Townsend perhaps kept that in hand, there was more options than probably he was aware of from this commentary position here, because the dogleg defence was up. It looked like there was options outside him.
I was about to say the exact same thing as you. Obviously we have the benefit of a screen as well, and it did look like there was a nice little gap for him to run into on the outside shoulder of his opposite number, but you could see what the plan was. I mentioned the low-hanging sun. It'll be something they try to utilise while they can before it starts to get really dark here, but like you say, a great clearance kick with Kirkford, and having a person that's that reliable and that consistent on your team is such an advantage.
Kirkford has been chipping in with a lot of points so far this season, but it's perhaps that steady work that he does at full-back, a calmless approach from him in the 15 jersey. Perhaps not as calm at the back of that scrum, because Stuart Graham has just fumbled the ball at the base, perhaps nudged with the on-rushing Heriots scrum, just starting to turn the screw, put a bit of pressure on this Hawick pack. But Kirkford so far 172 points in the league campaign. Brilliant with about 56 conversions, but he's also chipped in with 9 tries, which is equally as impressive. A very important player for this Hawick side. And now a centre field scrum for Heriots. Just inside their own half. Both packs start to grasp on to one another and make sure they've got that steady scrum, but Ian Kenny not happy.
So here's the mark. This is the mark. Very clear. Thank you. Time back on.
Ian Kenny is a very charismatic referee. That's probably one way to say it. He's good at communicating and sometimes tongue-in-cheek as well. So he's certainly going to be entertaining this afternoon at Goldenacre in this Premiership battle. 12 minutes gone. It's Heriots 0, Hawick 0. Heriots perhaps the better side of the two so far as the scrum comes together. It just collapses on the inside, and the penalty is going to go the way of Heriots, and you can hear there the match official just identifying Sean Muir as the guilty party there and giving away the penalty centre field, so it gives the blue aqua boots of Luke Townsend an opportunity to try and kick the ball towards the Hawick 22 metre line, which he does, just shy of the 22. Then it takes Heriots back into another favourable attacking position.
So for me, what I've seen is you've taken a step out, you've gone across. Okay, that's the first move. By 100% I will, absolutely. You stay straight this time, I'll absolutely make sure he stays straight. Deal?
So Ian Kenny just explaining to Sean Muir, an Irishman and a Hawickman, trying to exchange dialogue. So we will translate that shortly for you as the throw into the line out goes towards the front. It's been gathered by Pat Spence, and Hawick try to repel the on-rushing driving maul and do a great job of it, and then when it's splintered round the corner, Nicky Little has just dropped a hard shoulder into the Heriots carriers now for Johnson. Townsend, flat ball across the face of defence. Good evasive running there from Ali Johnson. Wilson finds Townsend again. That floated ball has just found Christie. He's going to chip over. He's been clattered, and the bouncing ball has been swept up by Tate. Left-footed kick downfield, almost hacked, but he's made great distance, and this firm surface at Goldenacre has certainly allowed that ball to travel. And then Jason Hill with the big fend, just managing just to brush Morgan Tate out of the road and take Heriots back inside the Hawick half. Townsend flat ball across to Malachi Keogh. Heriots have to get there quickly to the breakdown to try and secure that ball. Then Rory Steele throws it about 6 miles forward. Referee not identifying it this time. Lets it play. Rory Kirkpatrick is the benefactor there as he manages to get the offload and take play a little bit closer towards that 22 again. Jason Hill acting as the pivot back inside, and Rory Steele is just splintered to the defence, taking the ball off the shoulder of Townsend, who gets back into position quickly. But the referee has just signalled that there's another penalty there, and again the guilty party is Callum Rennick, and the penalties are starting to rack up here for Hawick.
Yeah, and I was about to say the exact same thing as you. Callum Rennick, again, you mentioned he's already had 2 yellow cards this season. If he keeps playing this the way he is, you can see what he's trying to do as a back row player, as a 7. He's trying to get under the skin of his opposition, but so far the only person that's really noticing it is the referee, and that's not going to do him any favours when he still has 65 minutes of this game to play.
I would say a healthy crowd here at Goldenacre. There's certainly a lot of green bobbled hats as well have made their way up from the borders to the capital city to support the Green Machine in their quest to secure a top position in the league, but they've been made to work hard for it so far. Not had a lot of joy getting out their own half, but Heriots yet to get any points on the board and take advantage of the pressure that they've had. And at the tail of the line out, Fraser Rennick has just gathered that loose ball, and he escapes his 22 as Lightfoot passes back to Armstrong. He's got a low driving kick downfield as Rory Steele has to relinquish territory and make his way back to his own 22. Sizes up his options. Right-footed hack downfield. Waiting there is Kirk Ford, and he's then going to size up his options and drill it back. It's an angled ball. It's just going to go out on the full, and I don't know if that potentially is 17th game of the season for Kirk Ford at fullback. That might be his first error.
Yeah, I think, it's at least the second, but no, it's a tough one, but you can see what Heriots are really trying to do here. They don't want to give Hawick a second to play or get in. They don't want to let those forwards rumble. They'll be annoyed that Fraser went there, and most importantly in that, they'll be really annoyed they wasted that great chance they had with the line out there. But they look dangerous. They gain 5 or 6 metres with any sort of backs play they're doing at the moment, so I'd like to see Paul Christie get the ball a bit more in the next 10 minutes or so.
The auburn curly hair of Paul Christie. Sam Mathews is wanting to see those locks flow down this touchline here at Goldenacre. But there, Rory Jackson was to throw into the line out. Not accurate with his arrows, and it makes it a lot easier when it's on the 10 metre line to see if it is straight, but it was almost close to the halfway line by the time it had got into the hands of his jumper. So it means that
you have to do the same thing.
Possession goes back to Hawick.
This is the message. Thank you.
And that's what I mean about Ian Kenny, about his slightly entertaining approach to communicating with the front rows.
It is, and it's great. I loved him saying to Sean Muir, he's like, well, I saw that you were wrong, so I'll check he's not wrong, but you need to fix it. But it's a great bit of almost peacocking going on between Cessford and Sean Muir right now, isn't it? It's a real game of one-upsmanship in that front row. So it'll be interesting to see how this scrum goes, because Cessford's currently up 2-0.
Cessford, a lot of experience in that front row against Muir, the captain of Hawick.
Early push, Heriots. Free kick.
And the referee
they're crabbing the scrum across.
And just signalling that it's an early push. And
scrum again. Scrum call, guys. Just hold that way, please.
Sean Muir just signalling.
Across infield. Hold that way.
He's wanting another scrum. Sean Muir, who's a a stocky square prop against Cessford, who is a very tall, tight head indeed. An interesting battle in the front row here at Goldenacre, but after 18 minutes it's still 0-0.
Number 3, green, 2 shoulders out please. Keep that thing square.
And this is a great platform for Hawick to potentially try and break free from inside their own half. They've not had any real attacking opportunities to note of yet, but Ian Kenny is just going to have a pause in play. So 18 minutes gone here at Goldenacre. In the Premiership, it's still Heriot's 0, Hawick 0.
Yes, in the Premiership, Embrackies 5, Selkirk 0's the latest score. Mar 19, Jed Forrest 0. 3 tries for Mar already at Fullerton. Callum Follen, Jake Jacobson and Grant Baird going over in that one. In National 1, Biggar 7, Watsonians 0. That game being played at Hartree Mill. National 2, Falkirk 7, Kirkcaldy 7. Gordonians 5, Aberdeen Grammar 0. And Peebles 5, Berwick 0.
5-3. Berwick have replied with a penalty. Not that I'm checking the score, Stuart, at all, but here it's still 0-0, no score yet, and Heriot's have just bulldozed their way over that Hawick scrum and collapsing, and you could just see the green shirts just engulfed by those navy and white hooped shirts of the Nails as they just swept them out of the road. They've won the penalty, and Luke Townsend is sizing up that touchline to try and eat away at the territory here. Right-footed kick, it's a casual kick as well into the 22, and he's probably blob on the middle, and again I think we're probably going to see a secure Heriot's line out, and they'll be fancying a little driving maul here.
Yeah, but they'll need to figure it out, because Rory Jackson's actually now had 2 missed throws. He had the overthrown one on the stand side. He obviously had that one there that was not straight right on the 10, but the one before that was what led to Luke Townsend's knock on, because it was rushed, it was overthrown, it was slapped back, and then it resulted in Townsend's knock on.
Throw into the line out, successful there from Jackson. He finds Keogh at the front, and it's a well-formed driving maul, and now it's started to get ahead of steam, and it's making its way towards that Hawick try line. And the referee's got a keen eye on this, but at the tail is still Jackson driving proceedings here. He's been well protected, he's nudged towards that line, and he gets over, and Heriot's get the first score here in this Premiership battle as they race for fourth place in the playoff. The pats on the head are going to Rory Jackson, and he gets the first try. And Heriot's, after the first quarter of the game, it's been scoreless, and they get the first try, and it's something which has been well known in the Heriot's repertoire as that drive-in maul, but it was effective this time, and they protected their hooker all the way towards that try line. 10-15 metres driving, accurate from the pack, and they strike first here.
Yeah, and it was great recycling by the forwards themselves. You know, as soon as they splintered off, they were back round. I think Jason Hill was probably epitome of that. I saw him join that maul about 3 times, and as you said, a great structured maul. That was no easy feat. It wasn't a case of 5 metres out, get down and fall over the line. They gave themselves about 15 metres or so they had to rumble, and they did that, and they made it look really easy against a big Hawick pack.
Not often the Hawick are out muscled up front, but on this occasion they certainly were, and now it's a chance for Graham Wilson to add the extras. 5 conversions so far this season. He's been in and out the first team, but a right-footed kick he's got right under this. It's curling round and it's going towards the uprights, but just drifts towards the wrong side of the Kinlan, so it's just going to remain 5-0, and with 21 minutes gone here now, it's probably a deserved lead for Heriot's.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see Graham Wilson actually kicking for Heriot's this afternoon. When I covered them against Accies, Kenta Katsuna was on kicking duties, and he had a majority successful day, around 80% with his kicking that day as well. So if Graham's missed the first one, it'll be interesting to see how many more chances he gets before Kenta steps up.
Ford howks it downfield, and it's been gathered above the head by Ali Johnson and then palmed to the ground, so it's a knock on, and it's exactly what you don't want to do after, especially against Hawick, but you don't want to be just relinquishing territory and forcing errors deep inside your own half, because you can see the nods of the head and the drive from this Hawick side. They know this is an opportunity.
Yeah, especially as how it came about as well, because Ali Johnson almost ran in front of Paul Christie to claim that there. You saw Paul Christie have to get out of the way right at the end. I don't know whether they want the forwards to take that first contact and keep the back line fresh and able to move, but yeah, that looked like it should have been Paul Christie's ball all day, and now Ali Johnson's knocked it on right on his own 5 just after scoring 5 points.
At the front of the stand, there's fancy dress on. I think they're dressed like Kiss, so we have to make sure if Stuart Cameron is about there, we don't lose him amongst the fashion faux pas at the front of the stand here at Goldenacre. But it's a Hawick scrum. Ball put in by Declan Lightfoot. It's well secured, tapped off by Graham. Graham then gives the ball back to Lightfoot and finds that Lee Armstrong just bursting out of the 10 position, crash ball 10. It's effective this time because Hawick are now looking to try and secure this ball and really tease and probe this defence. Now a chance for Fraser Rennick to carry forward. Lightfoot is quick to the breakdown to try and get the ball and keep it alive. Finds Jay Linton, the upright run from him, just bouncing a few Heriots players out the road. It takes 3 players. One of them is Malachi Keogh to bring him down eventually. The drive comes on then from Stuart Graham. He thinks he spots a little gap, the white line beckoning, but it's the door has been firmly shut in his face. Now Lightfoot finds Nicky Little, fresh from making his 150th appearance for the club. Lightfoot again, just travelling with the ball now, finds Callum Rennick. Again, the defensive effort from Heriots here is robust, and they're certainly putting up a formidable battle here, but eventually the defensive resilience yields, and Hawick managed to get their way over the try line. And it looks like it's Fraser Rennick who's managed to get the try, his 3rd try of the season in the Premiership. And it's all square here at Goldenacre. 24 minutes gone, and Hawick replies straight away. But you've got to say, like, Heriots have been the better team. Hawick then restart. It's an error from Heriots, and all of a sudden, 5 metres away from the line, not a lot of teams in this division are going to be able to stop Hawick.
No, exactly, and what a way to capitalise on a mistake. That's a real motivation breaker as well for you there. But like you say, great play from Lightfoot and his forward pack in front of him to just keep that alive. It wasn't pick and goes. It was always get yourself that distance. You want to come back against the grain, attacking outside shoulders, and like you say, men like Fraser Rennick, Sean Muir, Nicky Little, there's a lot of power and there's a lot of weight to try stop repeatedly there. So after 7 or 8 phases, well deserved 5 points there for Hawick.
Muir had a carry, Little had a carry, Linton and Graham chipped in as well. Eventually it was Fraser Rennick to breach the line. It's difficult to get back on your feet, get round the corner and plug those gaps, and especially the rate that Hawick attack at. It was difficult for Heriots to repel the onslaught for too long. Now Kirkford, 56 successful conversions so far this season, right-footed kick, and we can make that number 57. 174 points now for the fullback, and Hawick take the lead.
Yeah, and you speak about Kirkford, you mentioned his 9 tries earlier this season. That's something he really added to his game. I think last year he only had about 4 or 5, because when I covered the Glasgow Hawks game away, he'd already beaten last year's season tally. And like you say, having a guy that gets that many points off the boot to then add those 5-point pushes onto them as well, what a player you can have in your team at Kirkford at fullback.
Wee Tooney kicks downfield. It's been gathered well there by Purvis, and then it's been punted off the field of play towards the halfway line. Made a good bit of ground there as well, Ryan Purvis. He's making his first start for Hawick in the Premiership. It's been a steady start. He's been tested by Christie, who's managed to get on the outside of him a couple of times, but the defensive work rate from that back 3 from Hawick has helped paper any cracks that perhaps were left there from the winger. And now Heriots try scorer throws into the tail of the line out. Jackson accurate there as Townsend finds Hill. Hill pivots it to Katsuna. He tries to throw the ball to Steele, who then dances on his feet and heads backwards towards his own line, but when he tries to kick it downfield, it's been charged down, and Hawick are able to get the ball in their midst. Lee Armstrong thinks he spots a gap and tries to break free. Now Jay Linton, fresh from suspension, just splinters through the heart of the Heriots defence, centre field up towards the 10-metre line. Lightfoot travels with the ball. He almost breaks free from the first challenge. Katsuna is over that, trying to steal the ball, but Nicky Little has to now play auxiliary scrum half. Ford, he spots a little gap over the top, but Paul Christie's there, gathers the ball, launches it back to Townsend inside his own 22. He then gets underneath that and kicks it towards Ford. Ford gathers on the halfway line, then dances towards the 15, distributes to Armstrong. He thinks he spots some space in behind, so he drills it where Graham Wilson is waiting. The Heriots scrum half, he gets right underneath that. It's a high testing kick for Lee Armstrong, and it's right on the touchline as well, and the Hawick fly half is not want to take that quickly, and it's going to be a throw into the line out for Hawick just inside their own half.
Yeah, but you have to say great play there, distribution by Christie, and great kick as well from Rory Steele to get himself back out of the hole there. I didn't like what they were trying to do on the halfway. I thought they were trying to play with it a bit too much. You needed a case of when that move clearly went after the almost could have been crossing. They just needed somebody to set it up, but I think they'd take it from where they could have been down there inside their own 22, but they'll be looking to get the ball back from this Hawick side.
So Heriots were playing too much. Heriots playing too much on the halfway line, which has allowed a bit of pressure. I was thinking something quite similar. There's a throw into the line out here. Rennick again not able to find his target. These big long rangy limbs from Heriots are having a lot of joy in the line out. Got a couple against the head as Jones just fires the ball into Christie as Heriots try and play that expansive brand of rugby, but it's ricocheted off his shoulder. So Heriots again just cough up possession. Now Nicky Little launches himself into contact. Jason Hill is all over that because Little was counted on his back, but does well to eventually give the ball back to his side. Callum Rennick now and taking the ball in close quarters, but does well to make it secure and take contact on his terms. And now Welsh, he distributes to Tate on that far side. He's dancing back in field towards that Heriots 10 metre line, and the support is there again from Hawick, who are really difficult to relinquish the ball. And Ali Johnson just fires out of the line, and he's been brushed away by Sean Muir. And I think on the shrill of the whistle, I think the referee potentially has spotted that the Heriots captain has come off second best in that encounter, because he was he was quick to go to earth anyway. And the match officials bring proceedings to a close. The medical staff are on, and there's going to be a break of play with Heriots 2 points down. It's Heriots 5, Hawick 7.
Also in the Premiership, we've got Edinburgh Accies 12, Selkirk 7 now. Richie scoring a try. That's 2 tries for Edinburgh Accies at Raven Place now. Heriots Blues 5, Hawick 7 here at Goldenacre. Mar 33, Jed Forrest 5. 5 tries for Mar already, including a brace from Jacobson. Davy Andrew going over as well, also Grant Baird and Callum Folan. So Jed just got one back, but it's 33 points to 5 at Fullerton Park. Bigger 10, Watsonians 0 is the latest score in National 1. National 2, Falkirk 21, Kirkcaldy 14, Gordonians 5, Aberdeen Grammar 5 in the Aberdeen Derby, Peebles 5, Berwick 3, National 3, it's Boroughmuir 12, Hamilton 0, Hillhead Jordan Hill 8, Howe 5-5, and half-time in the Bowl and the Shield, round 1, Edinburgh University Medics 0, Earlston 24, and Lindeen 12, Dun 7 at the break in the Bowl.
As Hawick are ready to put the ball into the scrum, you can tell that I've got a slight more positive tone in my voice, because Peebles have went 12-3 ahead, because Lightfoot now here at this game has been able to distribute well, find Tate back in field over the 22 metre line. Lightfoot is there in support, trying to keep the ball alive, offloads off the deck, tries to find the onrush in Tate, but it's not able to go to hand, and the referee has signalled that there's a penalty there. Every time you mention the Peebles Berwick score, by the way, Stuart, Peebles score, so keep going.
Wolfenden getting the try there, Wolfenden.
Yeah, Ross Wolfenden, the young fly half, with the score. And Heriots here at Goldenacre survive, and they're able to kick downfield from the penalty. Not able to escape their own half just yet, just shy of the 10 metre line, but Hawick are starting to get into this game.
Yeah, and ironically they did exactly what we moaned about Heriots doing on the halfway line. They just tried to play a bit too much rugby. All Tate had to do there was get himself down to ground and reset it there, but Declan Lightfoot, he's having a very commanding game, but he's just rushing it probably about 10% too much at the moment. He just needs to take a step back and watch the game unfold in front of him.
Jackson, again, accurate at the line out. He's having a better second half of this first half here with the line out thrown, and he's still driving that maul over the 10 metre line, but watching with bated breath was Fraser Rennick there, and he was wrapping his limbs round his opposite number to stop any on-rushing attack from Heriots, looking to break free from inside their own half. And now Graham Wilson hoists it into the sky. It's now just a matter of flapping it back and trying to win the bounce of the ball, but it's just dribbled off the field of play, and it's going to be a throw into the line out for Hawick.
Yeah, and you just want to see both teams now just try to settle down a bit. As I spoke about earlier, Heriots are getting real purchase with these backs moves every now and again, so you can see why they're trying to get it out there, but it's not going to come if you don't do the dirty work, and you have to earn the right to go wide playing rugby, especially against a team like Hawick.
Throw into the line out for Hawick now, just inside their own half. Both hookers with the tries this afternoon. Rennick goes short, he gives it back to Muir, and now he is herring down that touchline and dropping the shoulder. There's a lot of players having to get back to haul the rampaging hooker down to ground. He's won the penalty for Hawick as well, and it's smart, intelligent play from the forwards. The Mansfield forwards have just taken that straight off the training ground, and they've been able to eat away at about 40 yards, win the penalty, which is going to allow Ford just to nudge it in the corner. And from there, they'll be wanting to contain this Heriots side, retain the ball, and put them under a bit of pressure as Ford, right-footed kick, stabs it off the field of play, and it's going to be a throw into the line out for Hawick.
Yeah, and you have to say Ryan Kirkpatrick there, he thought he'd done everything right to get that turnover after Rennick had isolated himself, but great play by the on-rushing forward pack to get on top of Kirkpatrick, make it look like he'd gone off his feet, make it look like he tried to seal off, and now, as you said, Hawick get the penalty from it. They find themselves with a line out just outside the 5 metre channel.
Rennick, ball above his head, and the sun-kissed Goldenacre. He throws to the front, and Stuart Graham is there. It's been brought down, and Graham is ducking down, trying to get a bit of height to himself to allow his players just to target that ball and allow it to filter back through. The ball has been able to filter to the back, and Mitchell has got the ball in hand now, upright, ball tucked under his right arm. He's been held up there by Townsend. He gets a knee to the ground, so the contact is complete, and now Linton's opportunity to charge forward, rides the challenge well. The ball kept alive, and now Muir just throwing a few dummies in there as well, but a little bit of crossing, and you could see what Hawick were trying to do, use those big on rushing forwards. And that central focus of Andrew Mitchell as well. An impressive 18 tries so far this season in the Premiership. It's more than a try a game for the centre. But a bit of crossing is a bit of lack of communication in centre field for Hawick. Allows Luke Townsend the chance to kick off the field of play and take them out of their own 22.
Yeah, and great play there, you see, by the Heriots defence there. They just kept waiting patiently, and I think it was, like you say, just a bit of miscommunication. Sean Muir, he kind of plucked the ball out of the air and let his two pincer runners run in front of him, causing that gap there. So a real tough one there for Hawick. It could have been a really positive situation, so now they've got it all back to do to win the ball back off Heriots and get back up to the 5 metre line.
Both sides are huffing and puffing as we approach the final stages of this first half. There's a lot of endeavour went into this game so far from both sides, especially up front, as this driving maul charges its way towards the halfway line. And Jason Hill ran about 10 metres and then shouldered straight into that maul to give it a little bit more momentum. And now Townsend gives it to Jones. Jones just throws it straight in the mush of Rory Steele, who is splintering off the line. The haunch shoulders perhaps suggest that Steele found it funny as well, because he just got a rugby ball straight in the schnoz from his outside centre, which pretty much spelt the end of that passage of play. But it does allow Townsend to come back for the penalty and kick downfield, and Heriots will be hoping to get some more points before this half time.
Yeah, I think Rory Steele will find himself maybe staying out of the back line for the next couple of phases, because that will be an eye-waterer, one of the ones where they sting. And maybe nothing broken, but definitely at least he did find the funny side. And Ross Jones, we've seen him throw a few large long range passes here, so he can put some venom behind the ball, so there's no way that one did not hurt.
Three playmakers potentially in that, essentially in that midfield for Heriots. Jones equally as comfortable at 10 and fullback, and finds himself in the outside centre supporting the youngsters in Townsend and Katsuna. The driving maul again has allowed Jackson to try and evasively break free, but he's been lifted into the sky by Jay Linton, driven back. The ball is squirmed forward, and it means that there's going to be a put into the scrum here for Hawick. And great defensive work from Jay Linton, and what a positive and what a plus for Linton to return to the team at this stage of the season.
Exactly that, and he's playing like he's making up for lost time, isn't he? We saw the carry he had up there. He splintered about two defenders, and there he made sure Rory Jackson knew he had been tackled. What a great man to have back in your team. And it's interesting to see that he's not been given his jersey straight back in the 8. Matty Douglas spoke about it on the podcast this week. He's had to earn it back, so he's managed to find himself a place in the second row. So it'll be interesting if that's another avenue they look to exploit and get more of these back row players on the pitch.
Stuart Graham playing his 205th game for Hawick, so going to be a difficult position to dislodge. But the scrum here is started to twist and turn, but the referee not happy with the way that it was marching round. And the aforementioned Stuart Graham did have the ball in his hands there, under a bit of pressure, but the referee deemed that was illegally so. Jay Linton getting a bit of attention as well. Hands on the head. This will be a shock to the system as Hawick kick downfield. Christie off the field of play, gathered, and he's remonstrating with his teammates. I don't know what about, because I think he was wanting to perhaps try and flap that back in field, but just gesturing at his teammates that there was nobody there to realistically mop that up. I think he was too far in field anyway.
It's probably your back five who walked around the corner.
A throw into the line out now for Hawick, and it's Rennick, Fraser Rennick, and he finds A jumper in the middle and a good link up there, just almost releases Andrew Mitchell, who cares little about his own body when he launches himself into contact there. Just splintering through the defence, and now Linton just stooping low to try and bounce off the Heriots defenders. Lightfoot travels with the ball, finds Armstrong. Armstrong looks into leg cup, and there's Welsh there. Welsh was, according to the Heriots fans here, was almost impeding the Heriots defence. The referee thinks otherwise. Now into the sunny side of Goldenacre here, the ball almost getting through the hands of the heavy artillery for Hawick. Sean Muir was the pivot, and now the stooping low run of Sam Frizzle. Fraser Rennick, the try scorer for Hawick, goes forward. He's supported by a couple of backs there. The centre's getting there to offer support to the hooker. The ball presented back to Lightfoot. Lightfoot's got Muir. Muir then ducks the shoulder as well and charges forward, presents the ball for Lightfoot. Delightfully so for the scrum half, who goes against the grain, and now he finds Mitchell, and he's stopped at source by this Heriots side. It's taken 3 players to drive him back centre field. Lightfoot's got a couple of options here either side. He passes it back to Armstrong, who's got Ford there. Ford's got Welsh. He straightens up the line. He puts a fend in for Rory Steele, who does well to scrag the outside centre to ground. Nicky Little's there acting as first receiver. A little bit of footwork, and then the charge forward supported by his back row. Now Armstrong fires the ball to Frizzle, who's running that acute line back in field. Finding a little bit more game time in the first team, Sam Frizzle. He's played a lot in the force and now enjoying time in the first 15, but at that breakdown, not able to protect the ball as well as they have done in the previous phases. And Heriots are able to turn the ball over and then win the penalty, centre field. And as we approach the final couple of minutes of this game, it's finally poised here in the Premiership. Heriots 5, Hawick 7, and we've got about a minute or so to go.
Yeah, and Jason Hill's having a real game in terms of a workhorse performance from a 6 here. He's, as you mentioned earlier, he's hitting every ruck at a speed of full tilt. He's now winning turnovers. He's carrying well. He's having a real game in the Dark Archland, but I've just seen him take a knee there as well. So maybe he's feeling the effects of a work rate first half.
Jason Hill, a very well travelled individual. He played in the Super Series for Heriots, but he's been down at Bedford and Doncaster. And there's Stuart Cameron's friend. You can't see this on the radio, but Kelly's got a great view of some of the fancy dress here. And Stuart Cameron would not look out of place amongst that group of individuals. And now it's going to be a line out. It's almost defensive here for Heriots inside their own 22, and they can ill afford to concede any points at this stage of the game. Probably the final few phases we will see here in the first half, and it's been a good one for both sides, you've got to say. 2 points between them, but the line out there accurate for Jackson, and it's been brought down. Hawick try and get themselves in an awkward position to make a fist of it, but Heriots drive towards that 22 metre line. They're doing a good job of trying to secure that ball, and I think they're perhaps looking to communicate with the referee and drain all the time out that's left in this first half. Wilson hacks it off. He's clattered by Rennick, but the referee has signalled that's half time, and on the half time whistle there's a little bit of a dust up as well, because Kirkpatrick got in there quickly for Rennick, who clattered the scrum half, and there's a lot of scragging going on now. So there's still action here at Goldenacre, even though it's at the half time whistle. The referee having a good look at this as the bodies go to the ground. There's Heriots players on their back and Hawick players on top of them. Some of the backs. Lee Armstrong is just casually walking off away from things, but we're going to get a chance for a chat with the match official just before half time. There's a little nod, and perhaps has dealt with that quite well, Ian Kenny, the match official, and David Changling there at source as well, just to make sure that there was that didn't boil over, but is here in Goldenacre anyway. The Hawick side trudge off towards the left hand side. A determined stroll from the visitors, and Heriots are going down to the middle of the tunnel underneath the stand here at this historic Capitol ground, and it's all to play for in the second half here at Goldenacre in the Premiership. It was Heriots who struck first through their hooker Jackson, but it was replied shortly after through Fraser Rennick, converted by Kurt Ford, and that is all that separates these two sides. A win is pivotal for both of these teams in the Premiership. Hawick looking to secure top spot, all but secure it this afternoon, and Heriots need to cling on to fourth place to secure that playoff position, and probably it'll be a repeat of this game albeit it'll be at Mansfield Park. But we've still got 40 minutes to see which way this game will twist and turn. But at half-time here at Goldenacre, it's Heriot's 5, Hawick 7.
Exciting first half here at Goldenacre. Heriot's 5, Hawick 7. We'll be back for the second half shortly with Dale and Sam.
This is Rugby Radio.
Rugby Radio. Borders College is your local community college with qualifications recognised and valued by employers. To find out more, visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whisky making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Yes, we're at Goldenacre today for Rugby Radio. Heriot's against Hawick. Hawick with their noses in front at the moment. After the completion of this game between Heriot's Blues and Hawick, we'll be crossing over for second half coverage of Kelso v Currie at Poynder Park. But for a build-up to this game, which kicks off at 3 o'clock, we can join Robin Purdie.
Good afternoon from Poynder Park in Kelso. We are right at the business end of the season now, and the outcome of this game will go a long way to telling us A, who will make the playoffs, and B, who will have home advantage in the playoffs. For Kelso, it looks like a three-way showdown between them, Heriot's and Edinburgh Accies for that fourth place, which would be a remarkable achievement for the Tweedsiders, given that they were only promoted from National 1 last season. While for Currie, a win here today and you'd really fancy them for a home semi at Mullaney Park. Conditions-wise, Kelso tend to have as good a pitch as you'll find anywhere in the club game, but it does look a wee bit heavy underfoot, which is to be expected, of course, and there is a fair breeze here today. Looking at the teams, Kelso will be looking for at least parity up front, where experienced campaigners Shields, McNeil and Logan are joined by players that have taken to the Premiership like ducks to water in the shape of Cammy Brown and the outstanding Keith Melbourne. Behind the scrum, Andy Tate and Murray Hastie provide calm assurance at 9 and 10, while young bucks Patterson and Barber provide plenty of flair. For Currie, they've got a decent old pack themselves. Hooker Ryan Stewart's been in great form of late. Sam Cardosi's all action at 8, and the Fijian wrecking ball Roy Vukagu is at open side. And in the backs, Jamie Forbes has huge experience at 10. DJ Innes is a very good centre, and at 15, Charlie Brett is one of the league's top operators in any position. Gregor Christie is the brother of All Black Finlay, and his battle at 9 with Andy Tate could go a long way to determining the outcome of this one. As always, there'll be a big and passionate crowd here today. It could be an absolute cracker. Kick-off's at 3.
And earlier today, Neil Hinnigan, the Director of Rugby at Kelso, spoke with Robin.
This is arguably the biggest game of Kelso's season so far, so with that in mind, what kind of fettle are the boys in today?
Yeah, good fettle. Obviously trying to just build it up nicely rather than piling pressure on, etc. I think, you know, from where we've come from, there's probably not too much pressure on us. It's just a bit of a go at it. It's, you know, so everybody's in pretty good fettle and up for it.
And if I'd said to you at the start of the season that with 3 games to go, Kelso were bang in the running for 4th spot in a playoff place, how would you have reacted?
Yeah, I myself, I would have been, like, I'm not going to lie, I would have been surprised. I think in the house between myself and Bruce and the other coaches, we were quite confident we could maybe get in the top 6. That was our goal, was to be 6. So if somebody offered us 6th at the start of the season, we would attain it.
And you've come up from National 1 last season. You've not massively recruited. So what's kind of been behind the sort of taking to the Premiership like a duck to water?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds obvious now, but I mean, this was genuine from the start. When we targeted winning National 1, we wanted to build the squad at the same time that could compete in the Premiership. And looking around the teams in the standard of, say, 6th to 10th, we felt like even last season we were that standard. That's what we felt. Same as I thought Ayr were as well, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, we've been ready for it, and we've just added the odd player that's been up and coming. We didn't want to start paying loads of players or trying to unsettle the squad. We've tried to build that team spirit.
And looking ahead to today's game, Currie have become one of the club game's top dogs, if you like, particularly since the dawn of Super Series. So how does Kelso go about beating them today?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's, you know, up until this season, really, I mean, you would never really have pictured Currie looking for a win to catch, you know, first place in the Premiership off of Kelso, but that's the way it is now. And yeah, it's a massive challenge for us, but you know, I think we've earned the right to be here to take them on. And as I say, you know, who knows? We've got a shout at it.
And looking at the team that they've picked, who do you see as the danger man?
Yeah, I mean, I think on paper this is probably the strongest team they've fielded this season, in my opinion. Yeah. And I would say that I really like the 9-10 axis, Christie and Forbes. I think they're quality. I think they'll probably be the best 9 and 10 combination in the league, and I think they're very efficient in attacking strength. Charlie Brett's got a lot of fullback, and then the guy I really like the most is a guy I seen last year was Cardosi at number 8. Yep. Can play multiple positions in the forwards. He's just he's got a bit of class about him, but he's got that brute force as well, and that's something that, you know, they can combat us with that. So I would say he's the main man up front.
Well, Neil, thanks for your time as always, and we wish you all the best for this big old encounter this afternoon.
Mouth-watering stuff happening at Poynder Park today. Looking forward to that. Here's some latest scores for you in the Premiership. Edinburgh 12, Selkirk 14. A couple of tries for Selkirk in that game. Glasgow Hawks, which is a 2:30 kick-off now, by the way. Glasgow Hawks against Musselburgh. Early score for Glasgow Hawks, but now Musselburgh have jumped in and scored as well, so it's Glasgow Hawks 5, Musselburgh 7. Heriots Blues 5, Hawick 7 here at Goldenacre. Mar 45, Jed Forest 5 is a latest score from Fullerton. Kelso and Currie obviously to come at 3 o'clock. In National 1, it's Bigger 10, Watsonians 21, a latest score there. National 2, Falkirk 28, Kirkcaldy 14 at half-time. Gordonians 5, Aberdeen Grammar 8 is a half-time scoreline from National 2, and Peebles 19, Berwick 3 now. 3 tries for Peebles on their way to a try bonus in that one. In National 3, Boroughmuir 17, Hamilton 7, Jack Robertson getting the latest try for Boroughmuir at Megatland. Hillhead Jordan Hill 18, Howarth 5 is a half-time scoreline in National 3. In National 4, it's Dunfermline 22, Greenock 0. Dunfermline 7th place in that league. Greenock Wanderers in 6th. White Craigs 19, Stuartry 5 is a half-time score in Division 4. Half-time Edinburgh Unimedics 0, Earlston 24, and Hawick Lindeen 19, Duns 7 is a latest score, and Lindeen have scored again. It's now Lindeen 26, Duns have also scored, and they've got 14, so Lindeen 26, Duns 14. Well, Heriots Blues are back on the pitch, which means Hawick should be joining them very, very shortly indeed. Remember, it's 7 points to 5 to Hawick, a very tight affair, entertaining game it is as well. Let's rejoin Sam Mathews and Dale Clancy.
Yes, welcome back. And Hawick are certainly taking their time getting back onto the field, but a quick reminder that yes, Hawick do hold a slender 2-point advantage, but that 2-point advantage would be welcomed to continue their quest towards getting their home semi-final in the playoffs. They've only got one game left, and it's a short trip to the Suitors next weekend to play Selkirk. But a reminder as well, it's not just places in the Premiership table up for grabs. There's also the Norman Southern Shield, which both sides are playing for. Hawick won the inaugural contest last season when they won 52 points to 21 at home, and it's played at alternate venues, so obviously up for grabs this afternoon. And I can see a young Daniel Sudden is in the stand watching alongside, and I think young Finney is here as well. His son, recent addition to the family, obviously the grandson of Norman Sudden, 13 capped front row forward for Hawick back in the day. as play is underway here at Goldenacre. It's gathered by Jason Hill in the 22. Wilson, box kick downfield. It's watched all the way by Graham, who does well to gather and filters the ball to Lee Armstrong, who floats a teasing ball to Ford to run onto, and he just steps back in field, and now he's in behind the Heriots defence. He's got some support in Callum Rennick, and he is going to splinter between the Kentland for an impressive, imperative victory for Hawick if they're able to continue in this form. They've come out the second half in impressive fashion, and it's the back row forward there, Callum Rennick, who gets a try. And what a start to the second half here for Hawick. And it's the work there from Kirk Ford from fullback, getting in behind that defensive line and the support line of the back row forward to go in for a try. And what a start for Hawick.
Yeah, what a deceptive step by Kirk Ford there. Probably just on the good side of the halfway line there. He managed to step clean through, and Callum Rennick, like any good back row, he was there. But that's such a hallmark of Callum Rennick, that he never gives up on anything. Even if he thinks somebody's clean through, he's always the first one there running after, and you see that he gets his just rewards. That must be at least that's his fourth try of the season, so you can see he's been rewarded handsomely for his effort of always following his team around the park.
Yeah, successful conversion as well, and I was perhaps a little bit premature in saying that Hawick are going to go on for an impressive victory, but it's certainly a start like that in the second half. Only 41 minutes on the clock, 1 minute into the second half, and Hawick have given themselves a little bit of a cushion here at Goldenacre between these two sides. They now lead 14 points to 5, and it was a great restart from Ford, and then the kick downfield gathered by Stuart Graham, and what great link-up play from the Hawick backs to release a back row forward who's going to be difficult to stop from the 5 yards out, never mind when you give him a head of steam from 20 metres away. And Hawick from that kick-off are able to relieve the pressure, kick downfield in between the 10 metre line and the halfway. It's going to be a thrown to line out for Heriots.
Yeah, but how disappointed will Heriots be? Because, we spoke as Stuart was running through the half-time scores and Robin was speaking, but not only that, we said Heriots probably went into the sheds at half-time the happier of the teams, because the only points Hawick had managed to muster was from that error caused by Ali Johnston. It wasn't a case of good Hawick play. So now they've had it all to do. They were in 2 points down. Now they've got 9 points to clamber back.
Jackson throws into the line out, and it's been flat back on Hawick's side, so they're now the team disrupting at the set piece. Rennick, it's the first try scorer, Fraser Rennick this time, who's able to break through the Heriots defence, which looks somewhat porous now as Lee Armstrong just lumps the ball into the sky. Welsh is underneath that and almost gathers, but still the Heriots fullback gets the bobble and bouncing ball under control. Hill from the base of the ruck picks, stoops, looks to throw the dummy in, and he's just been charged back by Rennick squared. Both of them are there en masse to drive the turgid back row forward for Heriots towards his own line. And kick there, stabbing, probing kick from Steele is gathered by Ford, and his hand delicately over the ball to allow him to drill it downfield as Ford relieves the pressure. It's been gathered by Steele. Steele then pinballing his way through the Hawick defence as Purvis leaps into the sky and is able to gather the ball. He's been shackled just outside his own 22, so the Hawick players have to retreat. First up there is Nicky Little, so he is first to punch his ticket to carry forward. Armstrong then just stabs the ball over the top, and Mitchell looks to try and grab it. As he does, he manages to beat Christie to the ball, and now Hawick are on the halfway line. Jay Linton, I think that was, just flailing his arms and legs and limbs forward. Sean Muir acting as a pivot. Lee Armstrong just floats the ball into the path of Charlie Welsh, but he's not expecting that ball, and it just bobbles off his chest and goes forward. But Hawick come back for the penalty, and they look like a little bit of a different side in the second half. They were perhaps, I know last week obviously Robin Purdie was waxing lyrical about the impressive performance from Hawick against Musselburgh. Heriots are a step up, and they certainly look like Heriots had a lot more questions to ask of Hawick, but certainly in the second half Hawick look like they're coming out a little bit more driven and determined as Kirk Ford doesn't find touch with that kick, and it's almost going to go out dead. It's been watched there by Graham Wilson, who opts not to dot it down in the goal area and kicks it downfield. Ford is waiting there. He finds Armstrong. Armstrong just floats the ball to Mitchell. Mitchell then a little kick of the heels, goes round the outside. He tries to release Welsh, but doesn't need him this time because there's 2 or 3 Heriots players now prone on the ground. One of them is Steele because he's tried to tackle Andrew Mitchell, and he's come off second best there. It's not the first time a Heriots player has come off second best from a carry from one of these Hawick players. Sean Muir, in the first half was able to bundle over Ali Johnson as Stuart Graham then goes in behind the defensive line. Lightfoot travels with the ball. Sean Muir now has just offloaded to Welsh. Welsh is waiting there. He carries forward but has been scragged to ground by the Heriots defenders. Lightfoot finds Linton. He brushes the first challenge aside from Kirkpatrick, who just wraps around the bootlaces of Linton. The referee spots there's been a knock on in there. So the knock on from Hawick means that attacking opportunity runs, or it grinds to a halt, and Heriots will get the put into the scrum, but they're taking a few deep breaths in there because I think they're surprised by the intensity that Hawick have come out with in the second half.
Yeah, I was going to say before they come through, I think the team kerfuffle just after the half-time whistle did Hawick a lot of favour to really galvanise them and set it up, but poor Rory Steele, he's still on the ground from that collision with Andrew Mitchell there, and it's looking like his day is pretty much done, I think.
Yeah, it looks like Angus Hunter is going to replace Rory Steele. Another replacement in the Heriots side. Innisell came out at half time to replace Ali Johnson. So a couple of players have been dispatched by this Hawick side, and it's this physicality that this team bring, which is impressive against the Heriots side. They're renowned for having a physical armoury in their pack, and also their backs as well. They've got very robust backs in behind that scrum. I can see Welsh as well is getting warmed up. Gareth Welsh might be looking to come on to replace Declan Lightfoot, and it's probably a position that neither player has really nailed down. I can maybe get their thoughts about the Hawick backs shortly as Heriots prepare to pop the ball into the scrum. Wilson, in one of the last remaining sunny patches of this ground as the sun starts to dip down behind the stand, as the scrum dips down as well, because Heriots have just won the penalty, but you can see Welsh starting to warm up with a returning Rooney McLeod as well on the bench. But between Lightfoot and Welsh, nobody's really been able to nail down that scrum half position.
No, of course. And then you add young Patterson, who obviously the way to Scotland under-20s at the moment. He throws in the mix. So that there's three players there. Lightfoot's probably had the lion's share of the game time this year. But having Gareth Welsh on the bench and also having Kyle Brunton on the bench as well, like having these experienced campaigners can make such a difference. And as we've spoken about Lightfoot today, he's just tried to do that a little bit too much. Obviously, that scrum and penalty was a result of his knock-on at the base of the ruck. He's had a good game, but I think he's like you say, he's trying to nail down that 9 jersey, and he's just doing too much with it at times as a result of it.
Throw into the line out, not straight this time, so Hawick will get the put into the scrum. Lightfoot still on the field of play. You would love to be a scrum half, and in behind either of these packs. To be fair, Heriots a really impressive forward pack, but certainly over the last few years, this Hawick pack, and I think overall that is Hawick's strength. But if you were dishing the ball away from the base of a scrum or a ruck behind some of those characters, Linton and Rennick and Little and Muir, those players, you'd be relishing your rugby in the scrum half jersey. And Lightfoot loiters by the tunnel, ready just to pop this ball into the scrum, and quickly dispatches the ball to Armstrong, and he floats the ball into the path of Andrew Mitchell, who's just running tight on the shoulder. He's been well dealt with there by Kenta Kasuna. Coming around the corner now, and Sean Muir making head of steam, and he makes a good 5 yards as well. Some passive tackling as Armstrong waits deep in the pocket as Ford takes a flat pass, then dances back in field. Lightfoot is crouched over the ball, dispatches it to Sean Muir this time, just ducks down, but he's almost stopped at source there by the Heriots defence, who put up a better battle this time as Armstrong sizes up his options out the back door to Mitchell, who has to check his run, go back in field, and he splinters through the defence, and now he's back through in the 22. He goes in the inside of Christie, bounces through some challenging, and Hawick now have their tails up. Lightfoot tries to distribute the ball but not able to find a Hawick player, and the referee has got penalty advantage coming for this Hawick side. Muir waits the ball at his feet, and he tips it on to Rennick, who crashes to the ground, but the referee signals that the penalty is going to come back for Hawick. And again, the danger of Mitchell. You wonder why he's scored 18 tries this season, then you just watch passages of play like that, watching a centre, and there's nothing on at all, and all of a sudden checks his run, spots where he's going, and he can break through. But I think Hawick are looking to try and go quickly here. It's at the feet of Sean Muir. He's waiting just to tap this ball. He's got Nicky Little waiting, but he's going to go it alone. He charges forward, and the Hawick support is there, ready, willing and waiting as Rennick now ducks the ball under his right arm and charges forward, well supported by this Hawick pack yet again. Muir has a second chance and tries to catapult himself towards the line, but wins the penalty advantage. Nicky Little now waiting, crouched over, but there's players waiting up, lined up in front of him, almost charging towards the line, but the cry of short from the referee signals that Hawick were almost over the line, but Nicky Little just fumbles the ball in the act of scoring, and they're going to go back for yet another penalty. And it was effective that time, and you wouldn't argue against them doing the same again.
No, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Sean Muir's done the exact same, put it right down at the base, on top of his foot.
And he's going to go again, and he's a little bit taller this time in contact, charges towards that defensive line, and it's got a little bit more pace now for Rennick to try and charge towards that line. The Hawick side, the waiting and lining up. Lightfoot dispatches the ball to Armstrong, who's got Welsh there, and then Ford is angling his run, and he's got a waiting, willing support there in Morgan Tate, and he dives over in the corner. And just when all the forwards were started to lure and entice the Heriots defenders in, it allowed that space out wide for Morgan Tate to just swan dive over in the corner after some accurate passing from the Hawick backs.
Yeah, and I spoke about it in the first half. You have to earn the right to go wide, and obviously when you have a pack like that Hawick team we spoke about, they need no momentum, they need no encouragement. Every collision they win it, they get to ground fast, and they recycle it quickly. And Morgan Tate, obviously he took that blunder in the first half inside his own 22. He's had a few big collisions with some back row runners that have made it through, but he's got his just rewards there. They slung it wide, they used Mitchell as a great decoy, Charlie Welsh fast hands, Kirk Ford just lined up the last man, made sure he had to commit, sent it out. Morgan Tate's in the corner, as you like, down on this stand side, easy as pie.
Kirk Ford now with the conversion attempt. He's out wide towards the stand side, right-footed kick, so it's going to angle away from the posts, and he slowly lines up and just pings that ball towards the uprights, and as expected perhaps from a right-footed kicker, it just glances in front of the uprights, and not successful there for Kirk Ford, but he's already had 2 successful conversions so far in this game. It now takes the score here at Goldenacre to Heriots 5, Hawick 19. Townsend kicks the ball downfield. It's been gathered by Graham. And what an incentive this scoreline perhaps is going to do at Poynder Park. Kelso, it's now over to them, perhaps. We know we've still got 25 or so minutes left in this game, but if it continues in this vein, you would argue that Hawick are going to escape down the road with a bonus point victory. It's been charged down at the ruck there by Heriots. Declan Lightfoot trying to relieve pressure, just not being able to get the protection in there for the ruck. It's very naive from the scrum half and naive from the Hawick forwards as well, not to protect in such a dangerous area for an important act. But now he distributes the ball to Lee Armstrong, and he safely pings it downfield. Being gathered there by Angus Hunter. He gives the ball to Townsend, who distributes now to Jones. Jones gives the ball to Christie. He's looking to try and open his legs up. He breaches the first challenge. Now he's in behind. Offload coming in, but the challenge comes on from Hawick, who do well to scramble back and protect their own goal line. Inside the 22 now, Lightfoot gives the ball to a non-Russian player, and this time it's in the shape of Dan Brooker, who's perhaps been a little bit quieter than some of his other forwards, but Welsh waiting in the pocket, just fumbles the ball. But the referee will bring it back there for a knock on, and it's something that was evident in the first half. I watched Declan Lightfoot kick the ball high into the sky, and it was charged down. He was scragged, and then Graham Wilson, with all his experience, the ruck was a little bit more elongated, got a little bit more pressure from his Heriot side, but there's something perhaps that needs to come into the game for Declan Lightfoot. A slight break in play here, but Heriot's 5, Hawick 19 is the current score.
Let's go to Poynder Park. There's been a score.
There has indeed been a score, and it is first blood to the visitors. Currie, it's the winger James McCaig who scooted over at the bottom end here after a beautiful kick pass by standoff Jamie Forbes. So kick was missed, however, so current scoreline is Kelso 0, Currie 5.
Robin Purdie at Poynder Park. Don't forget second half commentary coming up in that one. Latest scores we have: Mar 59, Jed Forest 5. It was 52-5 at the break. They've just kicked off in the second half there. Glasgow Hawks 12, Musselburgh 7, Inverackies 12, Selkirk 14 is the latest score. As we've just heard from Poynder Park, early blood for Currie. It's Kelso 0, Currie 5.
A slight change in the Hawick backs as well. I was going to see Kyle Brunton come on to replace Purvis, which means Welsh will go to the wing Lee Armstrong will slot into the centre, which will mean that Kyle Brunton will be in at fly half. And from the scrum, Stuart Graham does tip the ball on to Lee Armstrong, who's just waiting flat. He carries the ball forward, and certainly that strength is something that he's added to his game. Back into the pocket now for Kyle Brunton for his first kick of the game. Downfield it goes. It's been plucked from the sky by Christie, who is able to contort his body in the most unorthodox of positions to keep the ball in the field of play. And now Heriots looking to try and attack from inside the Hawick half. Wilson finds Kitsuna. He throws the dummy and then meanders back in field to meet the shoulder of Fraser Rennick, which is probably not what he was hoping for. And Townsend looks to stab the ball downfield. The ricocheting ball ends up in the hands of Angus Hunter, who ends up couked off the field of play from a tenacious Hawick defence. And again, these things just coming in, playing into Hawick's hands essentially. But Heriots are finding it difficult now to really ask strong questions of the Hawick defence, like they were in the first half. They were having a lot of joy, but in the second half not able to really ask the same questions.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they fronted up. Not only that, but I think Cessford and Muir, the battle in the front row, and then again Munro versus Nicky Little on the other side of the scrum. I think that's become a much more fairer fight. The referee's not giving anybody an edge on trying to get a dirty tactic upper hand there, so people are having to be a lot more honest, especially in the collision.
The drive and maul comes down and then quickly dispatches Callum Rennick from it, and he angles his run in field. He's now centre field for Welsh, the replacement at scrum half, to find Fraser Rennick. Welsh there quickly passes back to Brunton in the pocket. He tries to spiral the ball downfield, but this is going to be an awkward ball for Christie to gather, but he does well to gather the ball with his legs, but he just tips the ball forward into the hands of Callum Rennick, who's waiting on the halfway line. He just charges forward, and then 3 or 4 Hawick players just clear the jackal off the ball, and now Mitchell stabs the ball downfield with a right-footed kick. It's a challenging one for Townsend to gather, but he does well on his 22-metre line, returns it downfield, and Lee Armstrong's waiting in between the 22 and the halfway line, and then just hears it towards the halfway line himself. Dances back in field as bounces off that left foot. It's a trademark step of Lee Armstrong, makes it up towards the Heriots 10-metre line. Heriots players look to try and counter and win the penalty, and they do there. A good play at the breakdown from this Heriots side, who were able to isolate Lee Armstrong. He made a good counter-attacking run, but they won the penalty, and it gives a chance for Heriots to kick downfield.
Yeah, and it's great defensive. It's great from the defence of Heriots to swallow up Lee Armstrong there. You knew they waited for his trademark sidestep like they was, and it was the man again. Jason Hill got the credit for it, but he isolated himself, resulting in I believe it was Sam Frizzell for Hawick. He actually had to go off his feet to try and secure that ball, and Ian Kenny, the referee, was wise to it. He's seen it before, so we now find ourselves Heriots with a line out just inside the Hawick half.
They'll have to be accurate here at the line out. There's been a couple for both sides which have been flat back to opposite colours that they were thrown in at. And the referee just stopping play. There's a couple of replacements as well, limbering up on the bench. I can see Flynn Thomas, a New Zealander who's recently arrived at Goldenacre, and along with Harry Hitchens too, just waiting to enter the field of play. Jackson, the try scorer for Heriots, just throws the ball into the line out. It's been contested in the air, both sides almost grabbing it, but it is Hawick who escape with the ball. And Jay Linton carries forward, well dealt with by Kasuna. Welsh travels with the ball, finds Brunton, he finds Armstrong. The rugby league-esque pass finds Mitchell, who then releases Ford, who stabs the ball downfield. Well gathered in the backfield, but the Hawick defence just assemble en masse on the Heriots players who are trying to sweep up. Angus Hunter was the player who was waiting in the backfield, ready for the bobbling ball to arrive in his clutches. Just unfortunately for him, he had loads of green jerseys in his face. The ball almost escapes and squirms out the side of that ruck, but the Hawick hooker Fraser Rennick being penalised this time, as the ball was not deemed in play yet. So the referee Ian Kenny signals that there's a penalty there. So Heriots have a chance to kick the ball off the field of play through Townsend, and the score remains Heriots 5, Hawick 19.
We can quickly go back to Poynder Park. It's Kelso against Currie, Robin Purdie.
Almost feels a bit like Millennium Park at the moment, Currie being so strong at home, because it's Currie who are in again, and it's their all-action number 8, Sam Cardosi, on the end of a wonderful team try that involved Vukagu and Ryan Stewart from their own half. Cardosi finished it off. Kick was missed again, however, and it's now Kelso 0, Currie 10.
Thrown to the line out here, and it's replacement hooker trying to find his target. It's been flat back by Frizzle and into the hands of Welsh, so not a good start for the New Zealand hooker. Flynn Thomas, who's come onto the pitch. Harry Hitchens also comes on to replace Christie on the wing, but there's a penalty now centre field for Heriots to relieve the pressure, and they're not happy with the way the set piece is going in the second half, which is playing into Hawick's hands.
Yeah, and I think what's actually strange I'm finding from this Hawick side, they've obviously brought on Gareth Welsh and Kyle Brunton. They're much more of a game management half-back pairing, but they seem to be trying to do a lot more ball from hand and really play. I don't know whether they're searching for that. I don't know why they're really putting an emphasis on that fourth try for the bonus point, because as we said at the start of the programme, any win will do, and that should be the message, but it just seems like they're really trying to play a bit too much rugby again, and Gareth Welsh just needs to ironically do what he's probably been sent on to do, is settle it down a bit.
I think Gareth Welsh is, from what I remember of him, is he's certainly an all-action scrum half, likes to keep the tempo high. And I think the likes of Armstrong and Mitchell in midfield, I think they're sniffing that bonus point try. Flynn Thomas finds his target this time. Infield finds Hill, who tips the ball onto an on-rushing Jones, the ex-Welsh Sevens representative. Just launches himself into contact as Wilson gets there. The experienced scrum half releases Malachi Keogh, and then eventually the ball goes towards the touchline here at Goldenacre. A reminder, we're on the hour mark now in this game. Heriots 5, Hawick 19. A defeat for Heriots is on the cards at the moment, which perhaps it gives the advantage to Edinburgh Accies, who currently lead Selkirk. Kelso currently behind against Currie in the hotly anticipated race for that fourth position in this league table, and perhaps the opportunity to play Hawick in essentially cup rugby. Carry forward now from Heriots, who now are encroaching on that 22 metre line and picking the ball at the base, trying to keep it tight as Townsend now has got the opportunity to release the ball wide. Jones gets the ball through the hands to Hunter, who stabs the ball back inside into the centre field, and Ford is now under all sorts of pressure as Welsh has to get back quickly to scoop up, and now Jay Linton from deep inside his own 22, and if you would argue that he wouldn't be capable of escaping the clutches of all these Heriots players from deep inside this area. He's well managed this time as Welsh is digging about in that ruck, and he's taking his time. He distributes to Sean Muir as captain to steady the ship, and Hawick will now just look to go through their repertoire and not do anything too outrageous to escape. Don't want to fudge it up here, but they've done a good job. And Kyle Brunton hacks it off the pitch. Not great in the way of territory, but he's been able to kick the ball just shy of his own 22 metre line from inside his goal area.
Yeah, I think Kyle Brunton's just trying to get some air back into his forwards' lungs there. They've had a tough ordeal, really trying to make some collisions there. And like you say, Jay Linton, he has that command of bringing 2 or 3 players into contact with him. But yeah, they've had a tough go. It's like you say, that Heriots are really trying to find that first half form where they were really posing a threat.
Thrown to the line out has been gathered there by Pat Spence, and now the driving maul, a component of the Heriots game that was so fruitful in the first half, is being deployed yet again, and it's been spoilt here by Hawick so far. It's become stationary, and the round of applause you can hear is from the travelling Hawick support. A sizeable travelling Hawick support anyway, because they get put into the scrum after thwarting a Heriots driving maul, and it's an area Heriots game which is so dangerous.
Yeah, I know, and it's great by Jay Linton there. He was one that was credited with holding the ball in that maul there, so it'll be interesting to see now when they get that scrum. Do they try play it out from here? Is Kyle Brunton going to try make up for the less territorial kick he played last time and just get it out? But it'll be interesting to see if they let Heriots have the ball again, or if they try to starve them for it for a few minutes.
Just over the hour mark here, Heriots 5, Hawick 19. And we've yet to see Anderson, McLeod and Brogan come off the bench for Hawick. So there's still some heavy artillery on the bench for this Hawick side. The referee stopping play for a second while he issues some instructions to the respective front rows. Taking his time getting his message across to a front row for Hawick, which has started the whole game. It does look like there's a replacement in that front row. It does look like Russell Anderson is now on the field of play. He'll have replaced Fraser Rennick at hooker. I'm having a look and trying to see, because I'm trying to see if Dan Brooker is still on. And if Rennick went into the back row, we'll give you the updates of the changes as and when we identify them. As Welsh rolls the ball into the scrum, it's been driven forward by Heriot's and been swept up at the back there. Good work from Hawick to secure that ball when coming under a little bit of pressure. Anderson with his first real carry takes the 3 players to take him to ground, and I think there's been an injury there as well for Angus Munro, who came off second best. Deep into the goal area now, Brunton waits and he kicks downfield. It's been watched all the way by Harry Hitchens, but it's went over the touchline there, and it's a good escape there from Hawick, and they cling on to this lead which they currently have. It's 5 points to 19 they lead.
Let's quickly go to Poynder Park. More scores.
Yeah, and it's Currie again. It's all Currie at the moment. This time it's Ryan Daly who's crossed in the same corner after the forwards had set the platform. This one was converted by Charlie Brett, his first points of the afternoon. So it's Kelso 0, Currie 17.
Just to confirm that replacement earlier on here at Goldenacre, I can see Fraser Rennick is still on the field of play, so Dan Brooker would have been withdrawn for Russell Anderson. Russell Anderson will go into hooker. Fraser Rennick will join his brother in the back row, Callum Rennick, which will be some sight to see. Billy Dineen is on for Heriot's, so they have emptied the bench, and Rudy McLeod has just replaced Nicky Little. So there's been some replacements there. The replacement for Heriot's, the one of Billy Dineen, is to replace Angus Munro, who took a dull one trying to tackle Russell Anderson, who was running with great endeavour in his first carry in this game just after the hour mark. The throw into the line out there is gathered by Malachi Keogh. They try to set up that drive and maul. Hawick repel, and then out of nowhere they break free, and it was the hooker Flynn Thomas who thought he spotted a little gap. He was well scragged by the Hawick defence, but the penalty was coming the way of the home side, who do have some time left in this game, but you would feel they have to score next.
I'd agree with exactly that. The final 15 minutes or so, maybe a bit more or less with time added on and off, but yeah, they want to come away with some form of point here, and that's a very great start, getting themselves on the 5 metre channel.
The flag hoisted high and fluttering about in the right hand of David Chang Ling, who's assistant referee here, with the very attractive yellow top with the pink trim. Makes me really fancy picking up a packet of fruit salads on the way home. But it's just on the 5 metre line now, and Heriot's. Thomas, he'll have to be accurate here at the line out. They bring it down. It's well gathered by Pat Spence. The maul then starts to splinter towards the left hand side. Rudy McLeod, I can see there with his arms all over this ball. The bodies bundle on top of it. The referee Ian Kenny trying to see if the ball is playable, and that round of applause again are from Hawick hands, because they're happy that their side have been able to repel a Heriot's onslaught yet again. And the beauty, I'll believe it or not, I was a back, but the beauty of driving mauls and from an attacking point is great when they move the angle of contact, but the defensive effort is equally as impressive, and Hawick utilising and showing their defensive attributes really well there.
It's a beautiful thing, especially for a sub front row to get in, because what he'll have had to do is he'll have to splinter the lifters, as you'll know yourself. You see when they come down, they form that little brick wall. McLeod actually managed to get in one arm in through between the lifter and jumper as he brought it back down, held on for dear life, and like you say there, he was almost like a limpet on the ball. He just sucked himself round it and waited until he heard that referee's whistle before he even thought about letting go.
Rudy McLeod has just returned from Australia. He was travelling for a little bit, playing rugby down under. Met up with Ethan Riley over there as well, who's recovering from injury after being injured towards the tail end of his time here in Scotland. So it's a welcomed return, because he was an influential player in their double winning campaign last year in the front row, which is not really changed too much. The introduction of Anderson on the bench, McLeod in there, and Carrier departed. Tom Hope was player of the match in the Force victory last night, so they've got a lot of players to call upon in that front row, which some clubs will be very envious of. Welsh feeds a scrum 5 metres out. It's collapsed in the front row, and breaking free now is Stuart Graham. Tape now well and truly off his head. Pass back to Brunton, who's in the goal area, and he is just tasked with kicking it off the field of play. Still in the 22, but defensively Hawick will be quite happy to be in this position. Didn't concede against Musselburgh last weekend they've only conceded 239 points in the league. That's the least of anybody. It's actually 131 points less than Heriot's, which is impressive. They're in 5th position, so Hawick do trust their D.
Yeah, they do, and as you say, going up to this line out there, Rory McLeod and the rest of the Hawick pack will be given a bit of chirping, just trying to get in the head, and you can see they've totally changed the tactic, thrown to the back of the line out there.
Thrown at the tail and look to try and get some of their runners, their heavier carriers on the ball, and Malachi Keogh is one of them. And he does well to eat into the territory there. Townsend now finds Jones. Jones just feeds the ball wide, and now it's an opportunity for the winger to go and squeeze in the corner, and they do just that because Cammy Meagher has been able to dot the ball down in the corner. And now Heriot's trail by 9. We've got 10 minutes left to go at Goldenacre, and they know that if they get a victory here, they could steal a march, and the teams round about them, even any sort of points this afternoon, could prove vital in the race for 4th position. But Cammy Meagher has narrowed the margins here, and it was you noted it in the line out. They changed it, they did something different, getting some of their bigger carriers on the ball, and it allowed them the opportunity to spread the ball wide.
Yeah, not only that, I think it was just a case of mixing it up. The forwards were ready to go for probably what was another bring it down, maul it, try draw players in, but it was all through the great running, as you alluded to, by Malachi Keogh. Ross Jones with the great miss one pass out there, but still great finish from Cammy Meagher on the stand side. He had to really get the ball down before he even received any contact from the Hawick defence, because he'd given himself about 6 inches to work in terms of room. It was a really tidy finish from the winger.
Wilson on the touchline, and there's actually videos on social media of him slotting them from here before, and he looks to line it up, and he's got the distance certainly, but it's just towards the left hand side of the uprights as we watch on here. That heavily strapped left knee, there's almost an evident limp as he goes back into towards his own half, and I think that's more of a habit than anything else, a historic injury for the scrum half who has represented Scotland Club International in his day. I say his day, he's still playing rugby, I'm not. But he's back into his own half. But it remains here, Heriot's 10, Hawick 19.
Yeah, and how important is that missed kick actually going to be? We just spoke about they want any kind of point. That would have took them within the 7, that magical points tally. So they'll be wanting to get more points on the board. Whether they go for a penalty now, if they get one quickly, will be interesting to see.
10 minutes to go. And I think we're in for a great finish here at Goldenacre, because both sides will be chasing down a try, and Heriot's now spread the ball wide through Jones, and they're able to try and release Hitchens. He's good strike rate for a replacement back. He's played one, scored one, so he'll be wanting to try and keep that impressive tally up here in the Premiership. Wilson gets to the breakdown, his arms outstretched, signalling to the referee that he's not happy, and the ball offloaded off the deck because Jason Hill was carrying forward, and then as he rises off his knees, the ball just is presented in front of him, so he's got to scoop that ball up and scamper over the 10 metre line, and he's running a bit of trouble because the Hawick players were waiting with bated breath just to isolate the back row forward, and they've won the penalty, and Hawick now get the chance to kick downfield as it looks like Marcus Brogan, the player who played for the Fosrock Futures in the Super Series Championship, is going to come on the field of play. It'll be interesting to see who he replaces, but Kirk Ford is just sizing up an opportunity here to do something anyway. It looks like it's Callum Rennick who's going to be replaced, but the decision is yet to be made for this penalty.
Latest scores for you in the Premiership: Edinburgh Accies 22, Selkirk 21. Another tight one at Rayburn Place. Glasgow Hawks 17, Musselburgh 14 is a half-time scoreline. That one kicked off 2:30. Here it's Heriot's Blues 10, Hawick 19, Mar 73, Jed Forest 10 is the latest score, and Kelso 0, Currie 17. Second half commentary coming up on that one. Into National 1, GHK 25, GHA 30. That was played last night. Bigger 22, Watsonians coming back 28 now. Gala 8, Glasgow Accies 7, Highland 12, Ayr 0, and Melrose 14, Dundee 5. That's all in National 1. Into National 2, Falkirk 49, Kirkcaldy 28, Gordonians 20, Aberdeen Grammar 8, which is good news for Berwick. Peebles 40, Berwick 8. It's bad news for Berwick. And Stirling County 3, Lasswade 24 is the latest score in National 2. Into National 3, Boroughmuir 44, Hamilton 7, Hillhead Jordan Hill 23, Howe 5-15. Into National 4, Dunfermline 32, Greenock Wanderers 0, and Whitecraigs 19, Stewartry 5. And full-time results in the Bowl and the Shield. I got them the wrong way round the other time. It's the Shield ended Hawick Lundeen 38, Duns 14, and the Bowl round 1 ended Duns Edinburgh University Medics 12, Earlston 36.
Thrown to the front of the line out here as Hawick are now on the attack. as Stuart Cameron brings you the results from around the country. The carry forward there from the heavy Hawick forwards, as Jason Hill has been withdrawn from Heriots, replaced by the starting hooker Rory Jackson. As Hawick bundle forward now, all the players arriving on the scene to try and clear the Heriots players from the ball, but not able to this time. And the Hawick players are slow to get away from the breakdown. It was Marcus Brogan was the final player to rise from that breakdown there. So Heriots live to fight another day. And Townsend kicks downfield from the penalty, and it's almost kept in there by Hawick, but the acrobats of Charlie Welsh, although it was with great intent, and not a great outcome for the player who started at outside centre, now on the wing, because it still went off the field to play thrown the line out for Heriots.
Yeah, and it's been quite a good day for Luke Townsend, especially kicking from hand in the penalty section of that facet of the game. He's had a great quiet day. He's gone around. His backs, really, they've had to work on scraps every now and again. It's definitely been a game for the forwards, taking the most of the ball, but yes, a good performance for Luke Townsend. He's took his team out of their half into Hawick territory.
Flynn Thomas, the stocky character of Flynn Thomas with the mullet and the moustache. If you could draw a New Zealander, you would probably draw him, to be fair. And he finds his target there, and from that forward drive finds Townsend, who distributes the ball wide. It ends up in the hands of the most recent try scorer, Cammy Meagher, the experienced Cammy Meagher on the wing for Heriots. Malachi Keogh finds Jones. Jones finds Townsend on the wraparound, and then Kitsuna just splinters a ball wide into the hands of Harry Hitchens, who hitch kicks his way around the Hawick defence into the hands now of Flynn Thomas, who was there in support. And ball flat to Struan Cessford, and the floating ball across is just almost picked off by Lee Armstrong, but it's Kirkpatrick who gathers, and then the hooker who's back on the field to play, Jackson, goes back in field, and now Heriots have their tails up 2 or 3 metres shy of the line. There's players lining up out wide, and it is Malachi Keogh to go in. Malachi Keogh in for the score for Heriots, and it was a teasing ball across the top from Heriots that was almost picked off by Lee Armstrong, but eventually, once they were in behind, Heriots, well, we did say that kick could have been important, but they're going to need tries. It's now Heriots 15, Hawick 19, and we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left to play here at Goldenacre. And can Heriots turn round this deficit? We've got a kick to come, which would make it 17-19. And Stuart Cameron's not flapping about beside me trying to correct my numbers now, but it would make it 17-19, which would mean the finish to this game could be really important in terms of discipline for both sides.
Yeah, and how handy is it that Graham Wilson, he's actually had a tester of this with the last try from pretty much the exact same spot. So yeah, he's got his eyes set to be lining this one up with a great bit of care after that first miss.
Just outside the 22, right-footed kick for Wilson. Slow run up, slow steady run up, and it's a nice angled kick, and it looks accurate, and it's over the upright from the most difficult of angles, right in front of the shadows of the post, the stand here at Goldenacre, and he adds the additional 2 points. That misconversion earlier on would have meant it was all square, but there's been misconversions in this game, so it matters little in terms of perhaps that previous effort. It's that one there which could be the most important one. Heriots 17, Hawick 19.
Yeah, and back to the try. Luke Townsend, what a great pass over the head of Lee Armstrong. He said almost wished he was at half an inch taller to grab it, but great play from him as well. Rory Jackson didn't get try line fever, reset it. Malachi Keogh and the rest of his pack worked around, and they got that try a phase later. A great play, and now, as you say, all to play for with 5 or so minutes to go. 2 points in it.
2 points in it here at Goldenacre. It is Heriots 17, Hawick 19. Hawick know a victory of any sort is so important to secure home advantage ahead of the playoffs. The kick forward for Ford, he gathers his own kick. He's now counted on his back and isolated as the Hawick players arrive en masse. Welsh keeps the tempo on the ball. Lee Armstrong now is breaking free. He offloads the ball eventually to Welsh. It's just drifted forward, and it's going to be a put into the scrum here, but Hawick almost replying straight away. And it's all about possession now. It's all about playing rugby in the right areas and making sure you secure that ball and try and entice in the opposition to just infringe, to give that opportunity either for more territory to kick up field or have a pop at the posts.
Exactly that. How much do you trust your defensive patience and how much do you trust your attacking patience? Can you go through those phases? Can you keep the ball under control? Can you not make mistakes? And likewise, can you up front on that collision line, can you force the team with the ball into a mistake, turn it over and get it back down the pitch easily? That is what both teams are doing now. Hawick in the attacking sense, Heriots without the ball.
both sides. Away Ian Kenny to bring the scrums together, and that's my favourite song actually, playing the rugby special song by Stuart Cameron with a loose slip on the decks there. I'm glad I'm not of a nervous disposition. I could have got quite a fright there, but it's almost a fright here for Hawick, because they did hold a really good advantage. 19 points to 5. They were in the ascendancy, and they've just allowed that creak in the door for HERIOT'S just to peer through, and I think they're just waiting now to burst the doors open in the final stages of this game here at Goldenacre. We have a couple of minutes left, and it's a put into the scrum for Graham Wilson. Just loitering behind the referee Ian Kenny as he watches over the scrum. The front rows now collide together. It crumbles in the left-hand side of the scrum, and it's a penalty to HERIOT'S, which is exactly what they'll be hoping for. And they fling the ball quickly into the hands of Townsend, and providing he can eat away at this touchline, and that long floated kick downfield is safe, it's secure, and it's into Hawick territory. Well, just not into Hawick territory yet. It's just the wrong side of that halfway line, and HERIOT'S still have the ball, and they've got a chance through Flynn Thomas to hit his target at this line out. The Hawick players line up on the halfway line, the HERIOT'S side a metre away from them. They go to the front, and it's not straight at the line out, and you could see that a mile. We were right in the best position. Malachi Keogh was drifting across into that gap of that line out, which made the decision easy for the referee, put into the scrum for Hawick.
Yeah, I was about to say exactly that. They did too good a job of closing the gap in the channel of the line out, and unfortunately the ball flew straight past what would be his outside shoulder to the line out, so easy decision for Ian Kenny there. And now, as you say, Hawick scrum 15 metres in from the touchline.
The applause from the Hawick spectators who litter the stand here at Goldenacre has been somewhat subdued for the last 10 minutes. And a bit of more of a nervous disposition. The gloves coming off, the fingernails now being bitten, because they know that Currie hold all the cards at Poynder Park. So if a defeat was to slip in here, they could become under a little bit of pressure ahead of their visit to Philiphaugh next weekend. But they managed to get the ball from the scrum, and it's perhaps now just a matter of game management. Muir barking the orders at the tail. Welsh was waiting to deploy the ball from the base of that ruck, but Muir, he pulled rank, kept it tight. Anderson carries forward now after getting the ball off of Welsh. He's there quickly and waits for his forwards to filter round, deploys it to his fly half. Brunton hacks it into the sky, and Tate waits there. It's been kicked forward there, the bouncing ball from Angus Hunter. And there's an injury in midfield as well, because it looks like Andrew Mitchell's taking a sore one. And at this stage of the game, at this stage of the season, they can ill afford to lose a player of that ilk. But perhaps there, for me, that's not the right option, is to put it to the sky and make it a foot race, especially that bouncing ball can go anywhere. But it's dribbled off the field of play. But it's now a matter of, for Hawick probably playing rugby in the right areas, for HERIOT'S it's feeding off scraps.
Yeah, exactly that. And like you say, you spoke about it earlier. How many times have you seen contested balls get flat back to an opposite shirt number today? That's exactly what's happened. And on talk of the injury as well, Angus Hunter, he managed to get the ball on the half volley and then used Andrew Mitchell as very much just a break/collision wall, wasn't it? And then you can see Andrew Mitchell has just had the wind taken out of him, so I think he's given himself... He's
taken a sore one, because the physio has signalled that he's been withdrawn, and that left hand is just loitering above his waistline in an uncomfortable position. They were quick to signal that he's getting taken off, and Purvis now comes onto the field of play. Welsh will move back into midfield to partner Armstrong. Purvis will go into the left wing. Anderson throws into line out, finds Frizzle. The ball's been presented over the top of the supporting players who are trying to form that driving maul. It twists towards the left-hand side as the Hawick players break free. The shout of same maul as Brogan arrives with the ball on the scene of the 10-metre line. Welsh, arms outstretched, remonstrating with the referee that he thinks the ball has been held in there. Muir carries, the HERIOT'S players quick off the line, legally so according to the match officials as well. Great defence from the home side, and Welsh waits. The ruck is messy on the 10-metre line. Anderson carries forward, and you can hear the referee saying time is up. Hawick pass the ball to Brunton. Brunton, right-footed kick, catapults the ball off the field of play, and Hawick live to fight another day at the top of the Premiership. An important victory on the road, yet another one in the Premiership. The only team to turn them over so far this season is Mar. But Hawick do what they needed to do. It was a pretty simple remit for the Mansfield Park men. Get on the bus and get back down the road with a victory of any sorts, and they were made to work really hard for it in the end. Heriots crept their way back into the game, but just not able to take any opportunities that were presented to them towards the end. But certainly the last 10-15 minutes was all Heriots. They started the game well with a try through Jackson, which was replied through Fraser Rennick. So it took the half-time score to Heriots 5, Hawick 7, and Hawick came at the traps really well in the second half. It was Callum Rennick this time who got a score after some great counter-attack in rugby from the Hawick back three. It gave them an advantage after Tate went over as well of 19 points to 5, but Cammy Meagher and Malachi Keogh replied for the home side, which took the score with a conversion from Wilson to 17 points to 19. There was opportunities for both sides in the closing 4 or 5 minutes to perhaps consolidate their position in this game, but it is the home side who come off second best, and Hawick escaped down the road with a victory. But Sam, on the balance of play, you probably would say it was a tight game, but you would say Hawick perhaps showed a little bit more strength and class throughout the whole proceedings.
I think so, yeah. I think there was just that little bit more consistency throughout the overall game, of a performance level never quite dipped. You'd be fair to say they've escaped with the win, but it's a win they did have to claim, and it was no easy feat to get that win in the end. But they did exactly what they needed to do, got the victory, and they're heading back down the road on the bus with it. So, yeah. But there'll be positives Heriots can take likewise as well. Still got that extra game, still need to work, and that will give them real confidence getting through against the rest of these playoff competing teams.
An important victory at the top of the Premiership for Hawick, but has it come at a cost? Because Andrew Mitchell is still looking like he's carrying that injury. He'll be patched up midweek, and they've got one more game against their bitter rivals Selkirk next weekend ahead of the playoffs. But it's a victory for the visitors here, who escaped down the road with the narrowest of victories as they beat Heriots in the Premiership by 17 points to 19.
What an exciting game that was. Let's quickly go to another exciting game. Remember, second half commentary coming up between Kelso and Currie, and Robin Purdie, bring us up to date.
Talk about a half of two halves, Stuart. It was all Currie. Early in the piece they raced into a 17-0 lead, but Kelso have hit back with a couple of tries. An 11th of the season for that man Bruce McNeil, and Frankie Robson used all his power to barge over. Incidentally, both those tries came when Currie were men down, so they're in discipline, letting them down a wee bit. Dwayne Patterson converted one. It's now Kelso 12, Currie 17.
And don't forget the second half coming up very, very shortly at Poynder Park. We'll be back for that very, very soon. We'll also be getting some reaction from this game here. Heriots Blues against Hawick, 17-19. But Hawick getting 4 points, 4 valuable points to keep them at the top of the table. And they've confirmed that they will have a home tie in the playoffs. Here are some latest scores for you. Edinburgh Accies 22, Selkirk 31 is a latest score. Glasgow Hawks 22, Musselburgh 14. That game kicked off at 2:30. Mar 80, Jed Forest 10 is a full-time result. Into National 1, the game played last night. GHK 25, GHA 30. Bigger 36, Watsonians 28 is a latest score. Gala 8, Glasgow Accies 10 is a latest score from Netherdale. Highland 24, Ayr 7. Highland getting the try bonus already in that one. And the latest from the Greenyards, Melrose 21, Dundee 12. International 2 and a big win for Falkirk. They needed it as well. Falkirk 49, Kirkcaldy 35, Gordonians 27, Aberdeen Grammar 8. They're both full-time results. Latest we have from the Gites is Peebles 54 and it's Berwick 13. That one to be confirmed. Still waiting to hear from Stuart's Melville Newton Stewart. We'll bring you that one as soon as we can. A full-time result at Bridge Hall though. Stirling County 27, Lasswade 34. So the big players in National 2 all winning today. Into National 3, Boroughmuir 44, Hamilton 14 is a latest score. Hillhead Jordan Hill 23, Howe 5 22. That is a full-time confirmed result. Still waiting on news from Orkney against Dumfries, but it ended at Pennypit. Preston Lodge 41, Allen Glen 17. Another big win for Preston Lodge in that game. West of Scotland 21, Cartha Queen's Park 19 is a latest score. Cartha were 19-0 up in that game. West of Scotland pulling that one back. Division 4, Dunfermline 41, Greenock 17 is a latest score there. White Craigs 19, Stuart Tree 5 is a latest score in Division 4. Well, I think we can join Hugh Brown now pitch side with Jason Hill from HERIOT'S.
Jason, Hawick, always a difficult nut to crack. The nutcracker didn't quite work, but you gave them a fright.
Yeah, no, it definitely came late on in the game. We thought we held off the big boys at the start. We knew they're physical. There's some names that I still cut about with from a young age, Shaw Muir and Spittle and stuff like that, still doing damage, and we held them at bay. We thought we were going to come out, and we were more or less shocking in the second half at the start, and had to dig deep and come back into it, and gave maybe a wee bit of a fright, but not enough.
It was quite a strange game because there were no points on the board after 20 minutes.
Aye.
And then you scored, and by half time it was very close, 7-5 to Hawick.
Yeah, no, we definitely poked the bear there. It was getting a bit boring, I think 20 minutes 0-0, but we kind of executed what we wanted to do, but just not enough. We blew a lot of those mole chances that we kind of prided ourselves on, just weren't good enough early on. But Hawick came at us exactly where we thought they would, and some poor defending from us let them in and almost ran away with it. Potentially could have got more from them, but we came back, as I said.
Well, it was 19-5 and it looked as though it was one-way traffic, but then you got back into it again.
Yeah, I genuinely think it was like we gave up on our mole, and then as soon as we actually let the backs do what they're supposed to do, and I think our Cammy Meagher, our winger, it was his first touch and it was a try, so maybe we should have gone to him a bit earlier.
It must be quite disappointing though, because you are fighting for that 4th place playoff. This is a bit of a blow.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're trying to get some momentum going into that. Like, we've got 2 more home games, which anyone coming to Goldenacre, we've got a bit of confidence there. But if we thought we could roll the current champs here, then the next 2 games would be hopefully in our favour. But we've got some work to do now. So.
Yeah, but you still, I think, mathematically could do it.
Well, math isn't my strong point, but if you say so, yeah. No, I think that's the chat with the boys. 4th place is still mathematically ours, but hey, we're not going to take anything for granted. We'll go hard at that.
Now you came off. How are the old legs?
Still old. Didn't take my isotonics beforehand. I was cramping up a fair bit, and then I got up a bit too quick and cramped up again. But no excuses. We have 6 weeks off. Obviously, the Selkirk game got cancelled and stuff like that, and just probably needed a bit more conditioning. But they'll be fine for next week, I'm sure.
You're still enjoying your rugby though?
Being out with the ACL for as long as I was kind of chomping at the bit to get back to it. So even though I'm one of the old guard now, and it's been a while out, running out here for the HERIOT'S is still one of the best things to do on a Saturday.
I mean, you are in terms of the HERIOT'S team, you're a veteran.
I know. Kids are playing some young stuff on the music. I'm like, who's this? But yeah, one of the vets here. Me and Graham Wilson still trucking hard from. I think I'm been here 16 plus years. He's close to maybe 20. So part of the furniture.
I suppose as long as you're still enjoying it, then you'll keep playing.
It's a great club. Like as I said, when I was out, like socially, it's still up there. The amount of teams and boys that we've got coming down, the teams we're putting out at the weekend, 2s, 2As, the women's team, it's a great club. Socially, it's a great club. So even if I was watching, it's still a great place to be.
I want to take you back in time because I was watching on YouTube the famous try 9 years ago for the Scotland Club 15. You must still enjoy watching that try.
I like to reminisce that I used to be able to move a bit quicker. I used to have an inside step, but yeah, no, it comes up every now and then on my timeline, and it's a good one to watch back and pretend that was good back in the day.
Well, what have you got left? 2 games?
2 games. I think it's Selkirk rearranged and then Hawks at home, so both at home. So we get the bonus point wins there, which obviously every team's going to believe they can do. Then if obviously back to that math, we'll be in good stead for the final 4.
I suppose today it was close but no cigar.
Close but no cigar. We'll take the losing BP from the well-deserved current champs and stuff like that, and we'll move on.
Jason, all the best. Hope the old legs carry on for a long time yet.
Thank you. I'll do some stretching and get this cramp out.
Jason Hill of HERIOT'S.
No worries.
There we are. We'll be getting the Hawick point of view very, very shortly.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders College is your local community college with qualifications recognised and valued by employers. To find out more, visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Okay, Nicky Little, 151 appearances now for Hawick. They've won today, 19 points to 17, and he's now talking with Hugh Brown.
Nicky, that was a very hard-fought win, wasn't it?
Aye, it was. We always know that coming up here is tough to play up here, but we didn't play our best, but we came out at the right end of the result, end of the day. That's the main thing, so that's a pleasing thing.
Keeps you top of the table, also means that you get a home tie in the playoffs.
Obviously we knew a win today would secure us a home semi-final, which is obviously a big advantage for us. And then obviously our aim next week is to win that. Then obviously we're guaranteed to finish top of the league, so that's obviously our focus now next week.
Talk me through the game then, because the first 20 minutes were pointless, and it was nip and tuck between the teams, and then they scored.
Obviously the whole of first half was a big battle, it was a big forward battle, and obviously they got their noses in front, and then we managed to score before half time, but that first half was a dogfight, to be honest with you.
You looked like a completely different team in the second half when you came out. You were firing on all cylinders. What did Matty have to say to you at half time?
We got a wee bit of rocket at half time. Obviously that first 20 minutes after half time, that's obviously the way we want to play. And we scored a couple of good tries, and then obviously the last 20 you kind of came off it again a wee bit. But at the end of the day it was a win, so that was our main focus, to come up here and get a win, whether it be 4 points or 5 points. So we've done that.
Were you worried when they came back at you and it got to 19-17?
I wouldn't say we would have been worried. Obviously, they got that try, it was 5 minutes to go. We just knew, obviously, playing the right areas and keeping their half, and obviously won the game. So
you were substituted, are you okay?
I'm fine, I'm fine. I'll get a bit old now, so 34 now, so.
Yeah, 151 appearances for the Greens, that's not bad.
It's alright. Obviously a nice milestone last week to get 150th, but obviously the main thing is we keep winning games, and that's our main focus. So
now you're the champions, all the other teams are chasing, as you say, obviously very anxious to win the league again, and then you've got the cup to defend as well very shortly.
Obviously we're looking forward to defending the cup as well, but obviously our main focus now is the league. Just take one game at a time and see where we go.
And today, as well as the points, you also defended the Norman Sutton Memorial Shield as well, because that was up for grabs.
Obviously, nice to keep a hold of that. Obviously, it got started last year, yes, and defended it again today, so it's good to keep a hold of that.
How would you sum up this Hawick team this season? Are they as good as or better than last year's?
It's hard to say. We're quite a tight-knit group, and we're all pals, we all work for each other. I think it's a really good group to be a part of, and we'll keep fighting every week for each other and see where that takes us.
Good luck for the rest of the season and good luck for the playoffs and indeed the cup when it comes. Nicky, thanks for joining me.
No worries, thanks very much. Cheers.
What a stalwart. Hugh Brown talking to Nicky Little there. Well, one of the big results today locally in National 2, Peebles 54, Berwick 13. And I think we can go and join the co-captain, who is Jack Harrison.
Yeah, Berwick came at us quite hard in the first half. Plenty of big carries from the forwards, but we managed to absorb it quite well. 20 minutes in, we sort of managed to break away from them a little bit, tire them out. And then we sort of stuck to our plan, exit quite well this week, which we spoke about in training. Not to play in our half at all. And then we managed to get some phases together and get quite a few tries on the board, which is always promising. In the second half, we sort of continued that way, had the wind behind us, and Berwick they were tackling well up front, but we managed to get around them on the edges and got quite a few breakaway tries, which is promising for us. But going forwards, that's another one chalked off for us. So we've got 3 more games left, so we're really going to target them. We have to take 5 points away from each of those games. So we're working hard at training and just doing the same again, basically.
That's a big win for Peebles today. Berwick not getting any points, but nor did Aberdeen Grammar. Aberdeen Grammar losing out to Gordonians 27-8. Gordonians doing the double, and the King of Aberdeen at the moment in that area. Bragging rights to Gordonians. But don't forget Falkirk also getting 5 points in National 2, winning 49 points to 35. Right, for the rest of this particular part of the programme, we're going to go to Poynder Park. It was 17-17 at the break. It's Kelso against Currie in the Premiership, and your team is David Ferguson and Robin Purdie.
And you join us here just as the teams are coming back out the sheds. And David, I mentioned to Stuart when I spoke to him in that first half, it was very much a half of 2 halves.
Yeah, I know, it's an interesting term that, Robin, but yeah, I mean, we've got a cracking game on here at Poynder Park. After 20 minutes, you're right, it looked like Kelso were going to be in big trouble. 17 points down, 3 tries, Currie picking them off at will when they got the ball and were able to play with it. But then, they were thrown a lifeline with 2 men being sent to the sin bin, 2 yellow cards, and Kelso took advantage, scored 2 tries, and put another one just before half time. So very much back in this game.
Yeah, that last one before half time, or on the stroke of half time, was by Terry Logan. You wouldn't exactly say it was Logan's run as he flopped over from around 3 metres, but they all count. The kick was missed, however, by Dwayne Patterson, so it remains 17-all. You'd have got long odds on that after 20 minutes. Now the game is kicked off. Currie in their black strips, yellow trim. They're attacking the changing rooms end here at Poynder, and there's a break on here from his own half for Jamie Forbes. The standoff, it's a long looping pass, but straight into the arms of Tweedy, Robbie Tweedy, that is, the Kelso winger. So Kelso have slightly gotten away with one there. It was a good initial break by Forbes. Kelso now looking to set it up, and a penalty has been conceded by Currie there, as young Murray Woodcock looked to get his hands on the ball. First penalty conceded this second half. Bruce McNeil's in there having a chat with substitute prop Tom Jeffrey. So this will give Dwayne Patterson the chance from 5 metres outside his 22 to send it down the touchline. And David, Dwayne Patterson, almost unlike him in the first half, he missed a couple of kickable ones.
Yeah, I was conscious. I mean, early in the season he was missing nothing. His kicking from all over the park was phenomenal. Last couple of weeks, 1 out of 3 last week, and this week so far 1 out of 3 in that first half. Not like him. It doesn't look to have been kicking it quite as comfortably as he normally does. Nice big high kicks. He's setting them off like exocets, and you've got to be very sure of your target to make that.
Well, the line that's been thrown in by Knox, taken cleanly by Woodcock, but as he played it back to Andy Tate slipped, so he's going to have to set it up. He does exactly that, and Hasty goes into play. Scrum half, he fires out to Bruce McNeil, and Bruce McNeil tips it back to Robson. And Liam Tate's knocked it on there. So it's with Currie now, just inside the Kelso half. The ex-Peebles hooker Ryan Stewart has a rumble, and it's out to big tall second row Courtney West. He's the latest to hit it up, and Kelso players in over that, but the referees stopped play. He's going to bring them back for the knock on, and he had some big carries in the first half. Liam Tate, he's put himself about.
He did, and he took a really heavy knock, and I didn't think he would last actually. Just between the second and third Currie try, he was trying to stop the big prop on the run, and he came off worse. He did have to come off for a spell in that first half, but I think Kelso fans will be delighted to see him back on, because one of the biggest ball carriers, and he's a powerful player in that back row for Kelso, but he's also got good feet, and he always makes yards.
Yeah, been around the place for over 10 years. Liam Tate, one of the experienced heads in this Kelso outfit, another player that's really taken to life in the Premiership, as all the Kelso players have. It really has been a remarkable campaign for the team that were promoted last season, and that scrum's going to have to be reset. Sam Cardosi, number 8 for Currie today. He's been moved from the flank in recent weeks. Rhys Davis, the usual number 8, has been posted at blindside flanker. So it's going to be the scrum half to feed this scrum. Gregor Christie, he's the brother of All Black scrum half. Gregor Christie.
Finlay
Christie, of course, yeah. Mixing up but Christie's there, so it's Gregor on this side of the world to feed this scrum just inside the Kelso half. Solid scrum. Andy Tate looks interested but holds back. Now it's back in the hands of Forbes, and Forbes has got a runner in the shape of Sim. Is it DJ Forbes actually? Accomplished centre DJ Forbes. DJ Innish rather, and Jamie Forbes has kicked it forward into the 22. Now Kelso going to try and exit. Comfortable enough as it stands at the moment. Tate goes back to Hasty, the left foot of Hasty's put it towards touch, but he's found a decent touch there, Hasty, and that relieves the pressure a wee bit, David.
Yeah, and that's what Murray Hasty's so good at doing, in picking that choice. He's having a hard day today. The Currie are coming through his channel a bit. They're looking to take him on. He's not the biggest players in the world, but he's good at marshalling a game, good at managing a game, and 2 or 3 times today we've seen him get Kelso out of trouble.
Yeah,
good kicks.
Yeah, good kicks by an accomplished player. It's going to be a Currie line out right on the Kelso 10 metre line. Ryan Stewart to throw in, one of the league's top performers in recent weeks. Ryan Stewart played a big part in one of the Currie tries in the first half. That didn't look the straightest line out of all time, but referee Sam O'Neill is happy enough, and it's Christie at the base, and he goes to that man Stewart. He's hit hard by a couple of Kelso players, one of which was open side flanker Cammy Brown. He's another who had a decent first half, and that Innes again. Looked like a bit of a high shot in there by Kelso, but Liam Tate's in fighting for that. Has he come up with the ball, Liam Tate? It looks like he probably has, but no, the referee's going to bring them back for the high shot, so it's going to be a Currie penalty, maybe 2.5 metres inside the Kelso 10, reasonably centre field. What would you do here, David, if you were the Currie captain?
Yeah, I think Currie will aim to put it into the corner and get tries on the board. I think Currie know they need tries. They'll need more than 3 points to win this game.
Hawick, of course, with the win this afternoon, but 4 points as opposed to 5. They didn't get the bonus point for the 4th try, so Currie looking to narrow the gap here. Big win for Mar against Jed Forest as well, so taking shape at the top of the table. A Currie line out here. The kick was put to touch right on the Kelso 22. Stewart throws it in, and that's taken cleanly by Davis, and now Stewart's on the wrap around, and you had a Currie player in a cut here, but he's not neat. It's all his own work here. Ryan Stewart, he rumbles up towards the Kelso posts. Bit too easy there for the Currie hooker. Now it's in the hands of accomplished fullback Charlie Brett, very much in the shadow of Kelso's posts here. Currie in the ascendancy, and it's Christie to Davis again, double tackled just shy of the gain line, but the Currie forwards come round, and it's presented for the scrum half once again, and it looks like there's a penalty coming, so they're playing with a free ball here. It's Forbes to Innes out the back door. It's flopped on by a Kelso player. It was spilled by Currie, but they're going to bring it back for the penalty. Sam O'Neill, so this will be a penalty to Currie, 5 metres from the Kelso line. Very kickable, but as David mentioned, Currie will have the 4 try bonus point in mind. May take a scrum here actually. Currie did spend a period of time in the first half down to 13 men, which let Kelso back in the game, but no, they're gonna take the kick here, and
it's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's good news for Kelso. I think Kelso were shaping up for a bit of pressure on their own line.
I agree, yeah.
I think there are more tries in the second half. I don't think Currie are going to win this game with penalties. But in saying that, it's tight, and I think from Kelso's point of view, they're quite happy if it's tight and they keep it tight in the second half, where they can do what they were doing in that first half, truck it up and get Currie back in the back foot. Don't allow Currie some easy ball. And to attack with, which is where they're dangerous, and so I think this will suit Kelso, that they're getting away with perhaps just 3 points. It is 3 points, but coming back down the pitch, they can get the ball back in their hands, hopefully, or get into the Currie half certainly and be able to attack them.
Yeah, so 48 minutes gone here. Kelso 17, Currie now up to 20 points. And I'm just having a look around, David. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see Keith Melbourne.
No, he didn't come out. He's not returned there in the second half, and I think we saw him being treated just at the end of that first half. He was down on the ground, so he is a big loss for Kelso. There's no doubt about that. Murray Woodcock on. They've just brought Ashton Asante on, and I think that Cammy Brown will be playing in the second row. Yeah,
Brown probably will shunt forward. That's a big blow for Kelso. One of the season's top performers from any team, Keith Melbourne, the giant Irishman in the Kelso second row. Kick-off's been taken by Kelso. It was a shanked kick by Currie upon receipt of the kick-off, so it's going to be a Kelso line out just inside the Currie 10-metre line. Kelso not flung too many shots so far in this second half. Found themselves 17-0 adrift after only 16 minutes. They've done really well to claw their way back in, and it's that man, Cammy Brown, in the middle of that line out. He's taken it clearly. Now the Kelso forwards are going to try and rumble it. Asante's on for Terry Logan, one of the try scorers, and it's moving forward now. Bit of a head of steam here for Kelso. Currie have stemmed the tide, but illegally so. So Kelso now playing with a free ball. Cammy Brown has been caught there by substitute Archie Fletcher, but now Brown still going, still playing with the advantage here. Kelso, it's Tate out to Liam Tate, but offside there, so they're going to come back now, and there's a wee bit of afters. Just getting a bit spicy here. Tom Jeffries in there for Currie. He's having a bit yap, as they say, with Bruce McNeil. Bruce McNeil laughing that off. Tom Jeffrey, to me, David, appears to be giving it the old international sign of "come on then" to Bruce McNeil, and that's not something you see every week.
No, I mean it is. It's certainly making it feisty. It's getting the crowd involved here. That'll suit Kelso. A big crowd here backing them again today in this stand full. The lights are on now. It's you're getting that bit of grittiness, and Currie got to watch. You don't really want to wise up this Kelso crowd.
No, and it's a big crowd as the kick is taking the penalties, nudged down to almost halfway between the Currie line and the Currie 22, and it's a big crowd, as was predicted here today, David.
Yeah, they've been doing well. The crowd are really getting behind Kelso this season. The boys in the park are doing it. They're drawing them in their droves because they're playing well, and they know they've got a chance of winning every week they play.
They certainly have. They've really found their feet here in the Premiership. They look an established Premiership force, and they've taken in that line out. It's drifting a wee bit towards touch, but in it comes again. Kelso still in possession here, and was the referee's arm out there? There's possibly another penalty coming. Yes, there is. So another free ball for Kelso. They're 6 or 7 metres from the Currie line. They of course are looking for a 4-try bonus as the penalty is given. Now the referee's going to have a chat here with Jamie Forbes, the Currie captain. Not entirely sure what the infringement was.
I think what he's saying is that's 3 penalties in a row he's given in the space of a couple of minutes. I think that's a bit of a warning there to Currie that the next one you could be looking at a yellow card.
Yeah, and it would be the 3rd of the afternoon for Currie. Very much let Kelso back into it. A period of 13 men for Currie. A couple of Kelso's tries coming when they were men to the good. 52 minutes gone here, still Kelso 17, Currie 20. Kelso have gone to the corner with a penalty, so it's going to be a line out. Knocks it will be to throw in. Grant Shields is over having a chat with his hooker, giving him the instruction. Melbourne, as we've mentioned, is off the park. the totemic figure in the middle of the line out, so it'll be Cammy Brown. And he's taken out there, Cammy Brown, by the looks of things. It wasn't the best of lifts, in fairness to Currie, but Kelso have managed to get possession, and now it's Knox. Knox is tackled by Cardosi. Kelso still in possession here at the base of this is Tate. Thompson, the blonde hair Thompson, one of the two brothers who've signed for Berwick this season. Now Tate's got a runner. Came on a tight angle. He's going to come back, back to Thompson, but Thompson's hit hard and he's driven back into the ruck. But still Kelso maintain possession. 5 metres from the Currie line, going through the phases. Grant Shields now the latest to rumble it up. He steals a metre or two as they inch towards this Currie line. Kelso. The referee has stated, however, that that's been held up over the line. Now there's there's been a card flashed here, so we'll have to see who that is going to. He signals.
Six,
it's Rhys Davis coming to the touchline. So a third yellow card for Currie this afternoon, and he did initially signal, David, the referee Sam O'Neill, that it was held up. It must have been illegally so.
No, he must have, as the players parted there. Yeah, he changed his mind in a yellow card. There didn't seem any arguments from the Currie player, the Currie side there.
No.
So as you say, Rhys Davis coming straight off. So
and Currie can't say they weren't warned either.
But then if he was holding up, if he was doing something illegally on the line, over the line, the Kelso coming down, you'd have thought that could have been a penalty try.
That's a very good
so
point.
There must have been
well
a
made,
reaction
actually, yeah.
after the hold up. He's done something.
Possibly
something,
said something.
We just said a minute ago he gave the Currie a team warning.
Yeah.
Ali Donaldson will be furious with that ill discipline. They've already lost 2 in the first half. It cost them, and for them to be mouthing off and then doing something after the play there to get another yellow card, that could cost Currie, and Kelso supporters certainly hope it will.
Yeah, and it's going to be the scrum, 5 metre scrum here for Kelso. They're maybe either 20 metres in from the near touchline here. A man to the good, so they're going to try to have a shunt here, but that's a good scrum by Currie, and Kelso have to pick that up. It was all a wee bit of a mess, but they've still managed to maintain possession. They've lost a metre or two, but Bruce McNeil comes round the corner. He's driven back slightly, so Asante is in to support. Kelso content to keep it tight for the time being, but now it comes to Tate. And Tate goes to Frankie Robson. He only knows one way, and the referee's arm comes out again, but Frankie Robson's powering towards the line already. One try at his name this afternoon. Kelso again playing with a free ball here. It's Patterson, floated pass out there, and it's dropped with the line at his mercy by James Thompson, and they'll come back for the penalty, David, but that is gilt-edged.
Yeah, it was. That was a great floated pass by Dwayne Patterson out there. And yeah, it's one of those where James could see 10 metres in front of him, not even that, to run into the corner. He'll just have taken his eye off the ball ever so slightly, and that's all it needs. And that ball just flops away out of your hands.
Yeah, it could be a key moment in what is shaping up to be a very tight encounter. Kelso Director of Rugby Neil Hinnigan sat just in front of us here in the stand, and there was a shake of the head there as that ball was put down. But Patterson has kicked the penalty into the corner again, so Kelso will try and win this line out and try and rumble it forward. Kelso 17, Currie 20, 56 minutes gone in this one as it starts to darken here, and there's a real air of nervousness around the place now, you could say. Knox, and it's taken in by Woodcock. The Kelso forwards flood round. Knox is at the teller here as it rumbles forward. The crowd are warming up here, and they're over the line, and they have scored. You won't need me to tell you, because the crowd are in raptures, and we're just trying to see who's getting the slaps on the back. David,
the whole pack are getting it. It's hard to tell. Cammy Brown seemed to be the last one coming up there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's Knox. Knox the hooker.
But you can see. You see what it means. We're trying to work out who scored, because the ball's been passed about. Everyone of that pack is getting big slaps on the back, because they knew what they were going to do. It's one of those, I think, often where you see where the forwards have said, right, you got your chance, James Thompson.
Yeah.
It's not going out there again. We're keeping it tight, and we're going over, and we'll finish this off. And the way the pack have been playing, when these line-out mauls, the scrums, they really have Currie on the back foot.
They do indeed. Just starting to maybe get the upper hand. Now Kelso in the forward exchanges. Currie not helping themselves, of course, with the discipline. Yet another man in the bin. but the Knox try is taking it to Kelso 22, Currie 20. Dwayne Patterson's kick to come. He's 10 metres in from touch on the near side. As we await the conversion here. Conversions, penalties, kicks, they could be crucial. Patterson begins his run up. Struck it well, but it drifts to the left. And David, you mentioned it earlier, he just doesn't quite look himself from the boot at the moment.
No, he's not. When things like that happen, you start trying slightly different things. Normally he steps up and he strikes it really straight. That time he was just trying to pull it over from the right post to the left, hitting it out from the stand here, playing down the park, but he just put it too much to the left post and it just drifted past.
So Currie just about to kick off, so that's a bonus point to Kelso, so they'll emerge from this with at least 1 point, which is exactly what Heriot's got against Hawick. Edinbrackie's beat today at home, which all but ends their challenge, and Kelso have knocked on from the kick-off, and it's going to be a Currie scrum just outside the Kelso 22, and David, we say it often enough, but that's what's classed as a coach killer in this day and age, right from the kickoff.
Oh, it is. I know. I mean, because they practice it so much, because these are things, these set pieces, these restarts, they practice it so much in training that it should become second nature. But we were talking before the game about how cold it is down here today. It's pretty bitter. There were a few drop passes and warm-ups in the warm-ups by both sides because it is cold. You've got to really be focused today and really be up for this. And little mistakes like that can cost you.
So just waiting for the front rows to come together. Christie it will be to feed, and a good chance here for Currie to score, but also just to run the clock down a wee bit, given that they've got a man in the bin, saying that they're a couple of points behind with around 20-21 minutes to play, so they'll need to get a wee bit of a wriggle on as we wait for this scrum to be reset. And scrum's been, I think it's safe to say there's been parity at scrum time, but no great hurry to come together here. Sam O'Neill taking his time. The referee's been pretty well reffed so far this afternoon. It's been spicy at times, but he's managed to keep on top of it. And there's an early shunt on there, so Currie come away with a free kick, and it's Cardosi. He's hit hard just inside the 22, so Currie with a platform from which to work here. That's Archie Fletcher. Now it's Innes the centre. There's Kelso players in and around that, but no, it's come back on the Currie side, and it's Carson. He's well tackled by Ewan Thompson, who flew up out the line. Now it's Forbes, however. Cardosi, that's a loose pass, but it's gone backwards, and Forbes has to come round to mop up, so they lost a few metres there, but Forbes has made a couple of them back. Christie now. Forbes is at the bottom of that ruck, so they're going to have to keep it in the forwards. Christie. And that's a wee half break there. Call that a full break, actually. It's Charlie Brett dancing back inside, and they're only 5 metres from the Kelso line here now. Now, has that been knocked on by Currie? Yes, it has, and I think we can put that down to desperate Kelso defence, David.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a strong player. Charlie Brett, the Currie fullback, when he's on the full gallop, he's a hard player to bring down, hard player to stop. He's athletic, he's strong, he's quick, and that, as you say, it was good scrambled defence. Not only did they get there, they managed to disrupt the ball that was coming, and knocked forward. That's a great bit of relief for Kelso. It was only sort of 10 metres from the Kelso line, that knock on, and in fact it looks like Charlie Brett's. Is he coming off, or has he just been spoken to?
No, he's coming off, David, and if he's shaking the head, he doesn't look best pleased, and I think judging by the body language Ali Donaldson, he's maybe telling him to calm down a wee bit. Now, for me, if he's not injured, David, that's a strange one, because for my money he's in the top 3 or 4 players in the league, never mind this Currie team.
Yeah, indeed, and it means a change. They're reshuffling, so it's a change at standoff where they're bringing Callum Beckett on. Beckett's gone in there at scrum at standoff, and they've moved Jamie Forbes the skipper back into the full-back position. I actually thought, Jamie Forbes was shown at the start of the second half that he's a dangerous runner.
Yeah.
First receiver. So, a wee bit of surprise there by Ali Donaldson.
Yeah, and the hookers came off as well. Ryan Stewart, who's been going well. So Kelso won't be too despondent to see those Currie players coming off, but the likes of Ukago has come back on. Currie, of course, with a strong squad. And that's Thompson again, second row. Thompson, Ewan Thompson, one of the two Thompson brothers here, the signings from Berwick this season. He's put himself about this afternoon. Kelso, however, inside their own 22 still. Tate's shaping to put this in the box, and he's done exactly that. Now he's looking for it to be chased. It's the first touch of the ball for Callum Beckett, who's come on for Currie. Played for Stirling Wolves in Super Rugby. Kelso crowd, Kelso coaches, Kelso players screaming for a penalty, and Sam O'Neill has now obliged, and that really has given the place just a lift. And there's a wee bit of chat there from Tom Jeffrey, and he's going to be marched back 10 metres. And Bruce McNeil, they had a coming together before, and Bruce McNeil is right in his ear. And foolish again, David, just foolish by Currie.
It is, and I'd imagine Donaldson will be going through Thomas Jeffrey when he comes off after that. He's been winding up the crowd, winding up the Kelso support, and causing them problems on the pitch with that. Yeah, he's just marched him down 10 metres, and that's a great kick by Dwayne Patterson.
It's an absolute belter
Kelso
by Patterson.
22.
From a tight angle around the halfway line, he stuck it to, again, halfway between the Currie try line and the Currie 22, so a real territorial gain there for the men in the black and white jerseys, and it'll be Knox. Been a good battle at hooker today, him and Ryan Stewart, similar type players, abrasive, all action. Gone to the middle, and it's taken in again by Brown, and again this Kelso Mall's going to have a chance to rumble. Knocks it again at the tail. Asante's in there, adding his bulk, and it's moving forward here. Strong play by the Kelso forwards. It's been hauled to deck now, so Andy Tate takes over. He goes to Dwayne Patterson. Dwayne Patterson's got Tweedy. Tweedy always flung a loose one, and it's been intercepted by Forbes. That was never on, but that's good, strong defence there by Kelso. But Currie have got away with one there, and they're up now to the Kelso 10 metre line. Christie to Cardosi. Yeah, Kelso let Currie off the hook there, and it's now with Carson, and there's a bit of a tip tackle, and there's Tom Jeffrey's involved again. I think Kelso looked to be targeting him, and his head's gone possibly, but play goes on, and Currie now are up towards halfway, and they're still in possession, so it's back with the man that was sin-binned recently. He's back on the paddock, is Rhys Davis, and now Christie again to the substitute Beckett, to another substitute there that's on, that's Kyle Steele. Kyle Steele inside to Sim, who's wrapped up. Christie again. Christie's back to Beckett. Jamie Forbes now, he's moved up to sort of second receiver for this one. Currie not really going anywhere here. They're in and around the Kelso 10 metre line as they've been for the last few phases, but they're still in possession. And Kelso were in the attacking ascendancy. 65, nearly 66 minutes gone here according to the scoreboard clock. It remains Kelso 22, Currie 20 in this tightest of affairs. Kelso with a try bonus in the bank, having been 17-0 down after 16 minutes. It's been a brilliant comeback, and that's been put in the box, but it's taken in easily by Kelso. There's a wee bit of space there for Barber, and Barber sent it down into the Currie 22, and he's after this. Barber, there's a couple of Currie players back here, but Barber's managed to scrag his man, so it's come back to Forbes, and Forbes has been harried and hassled and taken down there. Now, did he hold on to that when he was tackled? The referee's given Kelso the penalty, and again the crowd go wild here. They've celebrated that one like a try, and David Ferguson, this is almost bang in front, 19, maybe 20 metres from the Currie line, and is there only really one option here?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I mean, we talked about penalties not necessarily winning this game earlier on, because I still think there are tries in it, but we've seen that at the start of the second half. But now you're getting into the business end of this match. You know, it's getting crunch time now. If they can open up, you know, it's a gift for Dwayne Patterson. A penalty right in front of the posts, only about 17-18 metres out, and you know, he'll expect to put this over and extend the lead to 5 points. And you know, with only 12-13 minutes left on the clock, it's a big one. But yeah, I mean, Currie, you know, we said earlier on about getting this crowd into the game. Kelso, you know, are doing it because they're playing well, but Currie have done it because they're mouthing off regularly. They're shouting back, and that's getting the crowd going, and it's causing them problems. You know, when they're not getting the calls from the referee.
Definitely, as Patterson shapes to kick this, not been his best day with the boot, but you'd get very, very short odds on this one. Bang in front, begins his run up. Over she goes. So a little bit of daylight opening up between the teams. Only 5 points, Kelso 25, Currie 20, and as David said, there's around 12, maybe 12 and a half minutes remaining, and that was an interesting point you've made, David. Kelso on the field, you know, the players on the field, but the crowd, it looks like it's got to Currie.
Yeah, I think so, and Kelso are feeding off it. You can see the players feeding off it. You can see, as you said, they were celebrating that penalty as if it was a try, because they're getting wound up by the crowd. Bruce McNeil doesn't need much of that, but he's loving it.
The kick-off's been taken. It wasn't an easy one to take, right on the 10 metre by the Kelso player, but it's been dropped. It had a bit of spin about it. It was actually a terrible kick-off, but it was enough to force the error, and Barber's back here in his own 22, and it's been charged down, his clearance kick, and thankfully from a Kelso perspective it's gone into touch, so it'll be a Kelso line out 5 metres inside their own 22, and they've just invited a wee bit of pressure on themselves.
They have there. I mean, actually, that Currie doing what Kelso just did down the other end. I mean, that try really stemmed from Archie Barber's big kick downfield, and then the chase. The chase was so good. 3 players on it. They didn't let Currie get out their own 22, and that's where the penalty came from, with Forbes getting caught trying to run out of his own 22, and that all came from Barber kicking a long kick from just outside his own 22.
Yeah, when it looked like there was the chance to run it, I actually thought he'd made an error kicking it, but a kick's only as good as the chase, and it was him that chased it, and that's what led to the penalty.
It was, because he did have James Thompson, you're right, outside him. Both of them could have attacked, but yeah, I mean, as you say, the kick was okay, but it was the quality of the chase that turned it into 3 points.
So Kelso line out just about to be taken, as Kelso now ring the changes. I see Grant Shields coming off, and Currie have managed to get a hand in here, and they've come up with the ball, so it's Christie now to Vikago. He's well marshalled there though by Frankie Robson among others. So right on the Kelso 22, they're flying into the tackles here, but Currie are still in possession. Beckett, but Currie have been caught there just behind the gain line, so they're gonna have to come round and regroup, and they've done exactly that. And again, good Kelso defence there. They've lost a couple of metres here. Currie, Cardosi, he only knows one way, but again, hit hard. Back with Beckett. Beckett now to Brett. Brett had a good break not so long ago, and he's beat the first man there with footwork, but he's hauled down by the second. And third, Steele. Steele's tackled there by Cammy Brown, and a penalty's gone the way of Kelso, and nothing really going Currie's way at the moment. Rhys Davis is having a chat with the referee. He's not the Currie captain these days. He was at one point, so he'll be well served just to get himself out of there and
just sealing off. And Jeffrey's not understanding it, but Jeffrey has. You're saying, I mean, the Currie prop that came off the bench. He's not happy, out there, and he's complaining about everything. But it was him going in and sealing off, coming off his feet, that gave that easy ball to Kelso.
Yeah, they've just given Kelso the opportunity for the out, and Patterson, I was going to say he looks to have sliced that, but it's another wonderful touch finder, and it takes play from just outside his own 22 to just the other side of the Currie 10 metre line, and the Kelso lineouts functioned pretty well this afternoon. They don't appear to be in any great rush to get towards this lineout, and who can blame them? They're 5 points to the good. It's Kelso 25, Currie 20, and we're into the last 10 minutes, and Knox throws it in, and he's gone to the reliable Brown in the middle of the line out, and he's had to be, given the departure of Melbourne at half time, and Kelso have dug in really well since one of their talismanic figures left the scene, and there's more afters in there, there's more chit chat. Bruce McNeil is never far away from such antics. Kelso still in possession. Tate, oh no, was that high? It was brilliant footwork by Cammy Brown, and one of the Currie second rows has come off worse there.
I think you were bang on, Robin. It was great footwork by Cammy Brown. We know how good he is at that.
Yeah.
Step one way on his right, then on his left. The lock was bemused by that, and he just ended up doing a twirl into Cammy's body.
Yeah, I think he's had a bang on the head there. The big second row. He was completely deceived by Brown, and he wasn't in any sort of control of himself. And I think he's taken a bit of a dull one, but thankfully he's up. That's the main thing. So they'll come back for what will surely be a Kelso scrum. Good refereeing that actually by Sam O'Neill. He wasn't to know just the extent of the head knock, but it was a head knock, so he blew his whistle. Now Kelso sub is on Angus McGregor. He's going to pack down at prop. Big test for these young front rowers, isn't it, David? The McGregors and the Asantes, and it's been a tough introduction for these young players, but that's exactly what you want, these young front rowers in the Premiership.
I was just thinking that, they're getting put in at the deep end when it really matters, and you learn so much more from that than coming into a game when it's 40 points ahead.
Definitely, and they're holding up this scrum, doing pretty well. It looks pretty solid, but Brown's in at the base, and Cardosi's round. Now it's Hasty to Tweedy nicks a metre or two. They're up towards the 10 metre line. Kelso, Currie with a counter drive, but it's going to come back on the Kelso side. Tate thought he's seen a little bit of space to snipe through, but he's been pretty well pleased on that occasion. But it's going to come back with the Kelso forwards. Patterson is in there playing scrum half, and that's Tate with the latest carry, still in and around the 10. Terry Logan's back on, and wee bit of crossing there. Yeah, penalty's been awarded. It was accidental, and there's more afters in there. Terry Logan and Gregor Christie, and that's a wee bit of a size mismatch, but yeah, Logan's done pretty well to get himself out of there before conceding 10 metres. But yeah, that was accidental, David. There was nothing in it, but it was crossing. You could see it from here, and that's going to give Currie the chance to take play back into the Kelso half.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it was a good run by Cammy Brown. He picked a good line, but Terry Logan didn't quite see him, or just didn't move the ball. He just had to move the ball to Cammy, but he decided to take it on his own. I can see him apologising to Cammy Brown out there.
Yeah, it's probably Murray Hasty that you want in that distribution position.
Yes, maybe not your big tight head.
But he's played very well. Now there's some ironic cheering going on. Oh, and Tom Jeffrey's been brought off. Oh, and he's given the crowd some. Yeah, said it, David. His head's gone, and Currie have done the right thing. If that's the reason they've brought him off, they've done the right thing there, because he potentially would have been a liability for this last 5 or 6 minutes. But it's a Currie line out, and now it's Vukago who's going to throw in. Started the game open side, and that's as squint as you like. His first throw of the afternoon. I don't know what Rhys Davis is remonstrating with the referee about, because that was as skew whiff as you'll see.
You've got the open side flanker thrown in. You're asking for trouble. Obviously they think that he can do that. He can play hooker.
Yeah,
he's done that before. But right down his side. That's not what you want when the game's getting as tight as this. 5 minutes to go. Of normal play. This is where every single decision, it has to be the right one. There are only 5 points in it. And for Kelso's point of view, they just want to be in the Currie half. At the moment, they're under a bit of pressure, just in their own 10 metre line, but just in their own half. They want to try and keep the ball in hand. They've moved it a couple of times through the backs. It hasn't worked for them. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw Bruce McNeil saying, OK, let's move it, but let's get the ball going through the hands. Nothing too flash. Let's keep it tight and let's manage this game.
Yeah, around 4.5 minutes remaining, as per the scoreboard clock. Andy Tate to feed this scrum. Cammy Lessels is on at sub scrum half and that's scrum has gone down, and that will suit Kelso just fine, because it's going to have to be reset, and I don't imagine, David, they'll be in too much of a hurry to bring this one back together.
Not at all. I mean, this is where it's really important for Kelso. They've come up from a league where they dominated a lot of that last season. It was the teams were not as high quality as they are in the Premier League. When you come up here, it's not just about being able to score when you've got opportunities. It's about managing a game, managing teams, and being able to do the right thing. Sometimes to take the sting out of the opposition as much as it's about scoring your own points. And that's what Kelso maybe a couple of times this season have struggled with. They've let teams come back at them. We remember Selkirk down here, and they should have won that game comfortably. And they let them come back in the last 20 minutes. minutes. That hopefully, from Kelso perspective and from their supporters' perspective, they've learned the lessons from that and how to see out a game when they've got a lead.
Well, they've certainly fared well in this second half, because Currie have only scored 3 points. The penalty by their fullback Charlie Brett, and the scrum's gone down again, but the referee's happy to let that play. So Patterson's going to put his foot through, and that's a decent looking kick from Dwayne Patterson, but it's been beautifully fielded there by Charlie Brett, and Charlie Brett flings it out there to his winger, and Currie now back towards the Kelso half, and there's a wee bit of footwork in there, and they're now just over halfway. It was a meaty punt from Patterson, but it was well fielded. So the possession's back, and that's a decent enough carry by Currie, but more obstruction similar to the Kelso one. And for a good job from a Kelso perspective. It was a good break by Callum Beckett.
Yeah, it was actually. That's the risk you take. You can understand what Dwayne Patterson, what Kelso were trying to do, kick the ball long, let's play in that half. But as you say, it was so well fielded by Charlie Brett that as a counter-attack, you're giving them ball, you're giving them a chance to come back at you. So a little bit of good fortune there, a bit of crossing right in front of the referee. Yeah, it was a wee bit of good fortune. You're exactly right, David. And it's going to be Dwayne Patterson again to send it to the touchline. He's centre field, just inside his own half. Let's see where he puts this one. He struck it pretty well. Yeah, that's going to be down just right on the 22. So another decent territorial gain there for Kelso. And you have to say, Robin, sorry to interrupt there, he's missed the target a couple of times with his kick, Dwayne Patterson, but his kicking about the field has been sublime today. He's really relieved a lot of pressure, but he's put a lot of pressure on Currie in their own half as well with some great, that was a cracking kick from his own 10 metre right into the 22 there. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, David. His punting from hand has been absolutely sublime, and the line-out's been won by Kelso, so they'll look to set this up, rumble forward, not just to gain territory, but to eat down this clock, which shows 1.5 minutes remaining. Kelso 25, Currie 20, and what would surely be one of the best comebacks since Lazarus. 17-0 down after 16 minutes they were, and that looked slightly high, slightly above the sternum, but the referee's gone the other way and awarded a penalty to Currie, and Cardosi thought about taking it quickly. They're inside their own 22, so he's thought better of it. And it's going to be Brett to come forward and try and hoof it as far down this Poynder Park paddock as he can. And he's not made great territory there. He's sort of hooked that, so it's going to be a Currie line out just inside the Kelso 10 metre line, and a wee bit of a let off there for the men from Milani, David. Yeah, I mean, I can see the flag blowing there, the wind's blowing down the park. That's another very
that's a shocker
by Currie that unfortunately, I mean, you make a change. Yeah, the wind's coming down there as well, down the park. So that kick didn't go very far out there on 22. That I wouldn't be surprised if the wind caught a little bit of that. Given I think you're doing the hooker a great service there, David. That was awful. It was a banana slice of a throw in at the line out there, and that's handed it back to Kelso. Yeah, but whether it's been their discipline or whether it's been just inaccuracy, they've been to an extent the architects their own downfall. Yeah, they have. I think they probably went into that 17-0 lead and thought this was going to be a lot easier. Thought we've got the game in the pocket here. 20 minutes in, 17-0 up. Right, we'll just take what Kelso have got. Now you underestimate Kelso at your peril here. Particularly playing at Poynder Park, they will fight all day. They will come at you, and they've got players who not only are strong up front, like Bruce McNeil and others who can keep the ball, know what they're doing. They've got some good attackers outside them, like Dwayne Patterson, like Archie Barber. And you don't want to give Kelso chances. I think Currie have done that, and they've found it really difficult in the second half to get back on the front foot. They certainly have. So it's going to be a Kelso scrum here. The clock is in the red, according to the aforementioned. Yeah, oh no, they're going out. The referee must have told them. Off it goes from Hasty, and the referee blows his whistle. The crowd are rapturous here. Neil Hinnigan in front of us is grinning from ear to ear. Kelso, director of rugby, and from being dead and buried almost, David, after 16 minutes, 17-0 adrift. What a comeback from Kelso. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying there, it shows what this Kelso team are made of, and in front of their own crowd, they're quite a prospect at Poynder Park. You know, they don't know when they're down and when they're beaten. They've got a real resilience. They don't give up. They know that they're in a game. They know they've got quality in, and we've seen that confidence build through the season as the season's gone on. First few games, they felt they had to win it early. You could see them being a bit worried when they were points behind. As the season has gone on and they have come back into games, they've developed a confidence that it doesn't matter how many we're down, we know we can come back. So they did the right thing. They got a guy out of jail card in the first half.
Yeah.
2 yellow cards to Currie. That let them back in. And Currie actually losing their man for another yellow card in the second half. That period there was that took the sting out of Currie when they were looking to come back. But as you say, Currie have shot themselves in a few times today.
They have indeed, but all credit to Kelso. And let's not forget, David, that's a bonus point win. That's 5 points on a day where Heriot's only got 1 point. Edinburgh Accies, unforeseen, lost to Selkirk at home. Kelso's destiny as far as 4th place now is in their own hands.
Yeah, it is, exactly, and that's what they wanted. That's what Kelso have said. I did think, when I saw them beat Mar, I did think that the playoff chance is on now.
Yeah.
I think they hoped to finish mid-table. That'd be a good season for them, back in the top flight for the first time in over 20 years. But they've had that bit between their teeth in the last few games. When they beat Mar here, they were very close to beating Hawick as well here. Suddenly they came off those games thinking, we can take these teams at the top. And they were gutted they didn't beat Edinburgh Accies last week away. They had chances there. If they'd done that and won here today, I think they'd have been chalking odds on them in the playoffs. Now they've got to make it happen. They've still got 2 games. They've still got Glasgow Hawks to play.
Away games.
Jed.
Yeah.
So they've got Jed away, and they've got Glasgow Hawks away. So there are 2 teams below them. You would think that Kelso now have a really good chance of finishing in the top 4 and being in the playoffs.
I think so, David. I think the looking at the table and looking how Jed have performed this season, another heavy reversal today. No disrespect to Jed, but you have to fancy Kelso for, based on current form, you have to fancy Kelso for 5 points next week.
Well, you do, although, you speak to any Kelso supporter here and they'll say the last team they want to face at this stage of the season is Jed.
Yeah.
Because Jed, if there's one game Jed will get themselves up for, it's a home game against Kelso. It's the biggest game for them the season, and that's going to be a cracking game next week. Kelso have to go out there and play the way they've played in the last few games, dominate up front, control, manage the game and take their chances. And you would think, they will go on and they will win. But Jed, you never write Jed off. Jed are going to be a difficult side for them to beat on their own patch next week, and Kelso will know that. I think there's 2 or 3 Kelso people said to me just a few weeks ago that they would have preferred anybody but Jed to be having to win at in the games at the end of the season.
Well, Heriots have got a couple of home games. They've got Hawks at home. They've got Selkirk at home. Accies have got Currie away. Accies I think are out of it now. And Musselburgh at home to Mar. So yeah, it's very much Kelso's now, with albeit with a couple of away games to play, and Currie still out on the field, David. And I would imagine that Mark Cairns and Ali Donaldson will be reading the riot act in that huddle.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will. We talked about Kelso did a lot. Kelso made mistakes in this game as well. It wasn't all easy for Kelso. They suffered in the early part of the game. They weren't really on it in the first 15 minutes, and Currie tore them apart. Currie had a couple of tactics. You could see they were looking to use the blind side. You could see they were looking to go through Murray Hastie's 10 channel with their big forwards, and it worked for them early on, and that brought them the first 3 tries. But then I think they just thought it was too easy. I think they just thought that a bit of complacency, and when they try and get back, and when it happens against Kelso, it's not as easy to get back in the game against Kelso as you think it might be. Kelso have shown that all season. When they do get the chance and they do get the crowd up, and I did say, Ellen, it's amazing how a crowd can play a part
Definitely.
in the game. Currie were mouthing off, some of the players mouthing off. Thomas Jeffrey we saw coming on, he didn't do his side any favours.
No.
Winding up the Kelso players. He thinks he's winding up the Kelso players, but he's winding up Kelso support. So every decision after that, there's a roar.
Yeah.
And there's a roar at the referee every time there's something looking dodgy on the pitch. He's got the pressure of the crowd on his back, and that really was behind like a wave of Kelso over the last 20-30 minutes in that game, and it's easy to underestimate the value of that to a team.
It certainly is. Well, after all of that, it's a famous win here for Kelso, a resurgent Kelso after being 17-0 down after 16 minutes. It has finished here at Poynder Park. Bonus point win for Kelso. It's Kelso 25, Currie 20.
Thank you to Robin Purdie and David Ferguson. We'll return to Poynder Park for some hopeful reaction from the Kelso camp a little bit later on. But all the results are now in, so let's give you the classifieds. Starting in the Premiership, Edinburgh Accies 29, Selkirk 31, Glasgow Hawks 27, Musselburgh 29, Heriot's Blues 17, Hawick 19. All those games won by a couple of points only. Kelso 25, Currie 20, Mar 80, Jed Forest 10, National 1, Biggar 36, Watsonians 28, Gala 42, Glasgow Accies 39, Highland 35, Ayr 12 and Melrose 26, Dundee 38. Into National 2 it ended Falkirk 49, Kirkcaldy 35, Gordonians 27, Aberdeen Grammar 8, Peebles 54, Berwick 13, Stewart's Melville 28, Newton Stewart 27, Stirling County 27, Lasswade 34. In National 3, Boroughmuir 44, Hamilton 14, Hillhead Jordan Hill 23, Howe Fife 22, Orkney 27, Dumfries 21, Preston Lodge 41, Allen Glen 17 and West of Scotland 21, Cartha Queen's Park 19. West of Scotland coming back at Burnbrae there from 19-0 down. And finally International 4, Dunfermline 41, Greenock Wanderers 7, Murrayfield Wanderers 7, North Berwick 35, Perthshire 28, Unbeaten Garnock 56, White Craigs 45, Stewartry 32, and a couple of other results for you as well. In the Bowl, round 1, Edinburgh University Medics 12, Earlston 36, that's their third win over Edinburgh University Medics this season. And in the Shield, it was Hoytlandine 38, Duns 14, and in East League 1, a result that's come in, Linlithgow 35, Langham 5. We can now tell you the league table after those results. Premiership table, Hawick still at the top with 72 points. They've got a 10-point lead now over Mar, who have 62. Currie in third on 60. In fourth place it's Kelso 47. In fifth place Edinburgh Accies with 46. In sixth place Heriot's Blues with 45. Seventh place Musselburgh on 45 as well. It's really tight. Eighth is Selkirk with 35. Ninth Glasgow Hawks 26. And Jed Forest bringing up the rear with just the 5 points. In National 1, Ayr champions 74 points, but they've lost their last 3 games, but their campaign is now over and they will face Currie in the Cup. That will be their next match. Second, Highland, who won today, 51. Third, Melrose, who lost today, 50. Fourth place, it's GHA on 46. Watsonians have 45. Then Glasgow Accies 41. Biggar 39. Gala also have 39, but an inferior points difference. GHK have 21 and Dundee have 24. So Dundee's gone above GHK by 3 points, and it's going to be one of those two clubs that go down into National 2. And talking of National 2, Peebles with their big win stay at the top of the table, 62 points. Falkirk with their big win, 61 points for them in second place. Third, it's Newton Stewart 57. Lasswade have 54. Gordonians 42, Stewmel 32, a win for them today against Newton Stewart. Kirkcaldy have 30, it's 25 points for Stirling County. Berwick have 20 and Aberdeen have 15. So that's the tables in Division 1, 2 and also in the Premiership. Let's go to the Gites. Ewan Welsh has been looking after that game for us today. It's Peebles winning against Berwick.
Full time here at the Gites End, and it's Peebles who run out comfortable victors with an 8-try victory, beating Berwick 54 points to 13. The visitors actually controlled the early stages with possession and territory, but they couldn't find a way over the line. And whilst Peebles lost their captain Murdo Anderson to a shoulder injury, they dug deep and slowly started turning over Berwick to the point where they ran in a good couple of scores to give themselves a healthy advantage, and at one point they led 40 points to 3. The last 10-15 minutes was a bit scrappy with both teams getting a couple of scores on the board, but all in all this was to be Peebles' day. They never really looked in doubt once they got a couple of scores on the board. And now it is a case of just keeping putting together performances for Peebles, and if they do that then they will remain at the top of League 2 and win National Division 2. Berwick will have to come back another day and fight again. They still are in a struggling position, but what they'll have to do is roll the sleeves up, put their head down and really try and get out some points in the run to the end of the season. But full time here at the Gates, it's Peebles 54, Berwick 13.
Big win for Peebles there. Of course, we heard earlier on from Jack Harrison. Peebles getting the win there, and of course Falkirk making it really tight at the top as well, winning with a big victory over Kirkcaldy, who scored a few points themselves. Now, Stuart's Melville in National 2 today, a big win for them at home to Newton Stewart. We can talk now to Alex Haggart, their head coach.
It was a really good game. I think we controlled kind of the set piece battle. The boys had sort of said that they really wanted to put a wee bit of pressure on Newton Stewart's set piece. So we did that. I thought they played really well. We actually managed to stifle their threats. Their number 8, Mark McCormick, I think we managed to sort of stop him quite well, which stopped a wee bit of their momentum. I think we probably ended up on the right side of a couple of refereeing decisions at crucial points as well, which maybe made quite a big difference. But at the same time, we also finished off some really good tries. And I think when we needed to show a calm head, we showed a calm head. So I was quite pleased with that. So yeah, I think that is a really good win for us as well, because that's the first time this year, and it's actually the first time in a while as a club that we've beaten a club and a team who are a wee bit above us in the league and have amassed a lot more points than us. So I'm quite proud of the boys in that respect, because it is quite a big sort of mental barrier to overcome. And yeah, go into the last 3 games of the season with a bit of confidence, go into Gordonians next week with exactly the same, and try and pick up a wee scalp there as well. And finish off the year strongly.
That was Alex Haggart talking to us after the game.
This is Rugby Radio.
Rugby Radio. Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Borders College is your local community college. Why not read about the successes of former students, from successful businesses to top sports athletes? We love to share their successes and hear from former students. If that's you, get in touch and tell us about your own success. Read the success stories and tell us about yours right now at borderscollege.ac.uk. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
8 minutes to 5, so let's go back to Poynder Park. A big win for Kelso today, a try-bonus win, 25 points to 20. Robin is now with Ewan Thompson.
Well, Ewan, my word, what a famous result for Kelso that is, particularly given where you were after 16 minutes.
It was 3 tries down within 16 minutes. Wasn't great, but we went behind the sticks and we never panicked. We just needed more with the ball, which I think we came out in the last 20 especially, and did.
And is it just simply a question of when you're 17-0 down? Does it just come down to graft? Does it just come down to heart?
Just how much we all wanted it. It was lose and go home. No playoffs if we lose today. Really, we need to win today. We need to win the next 2 to have a chance, and we all knew that.
And speaking of the playoffs, you've won today with a bonus point. Heriots have lost. They picked up a point, but Heriots have lost. Edinburgh Accies have lost it. Your destiny's in your own hands now.
I didn't know that, but that's good. We've got to go away to Jed and away to Hawks. Not going to be 2 easy games. They're going to be hard, but I think we can do it. We just have to keep working, coming along every Tuesday, Thursday, and we can get there.
And from a personal point of view, I must say I thought it was a fantastic performance. Is this a sort of almost a coming of age, if you like, in terms of life in the Premiership? You look to the manor born out there.
Sorry? You
look to the manor born out there like a proven Premiership operator.
It's been hard, especially the first half of the season for me coming in, just trying to get used to everything. But I'm getting a lot more used to it now, knowing what I need to do, where I need to be, and it's really easy playing with these boys around you. that make my life so much easier.
And looking forward, you mentioned it's Jed next up at Riverside. They've not won a game this season, but they'll potentially be looking to give you guys a bloody nose.
Yeah, it's a border derby, and they're not going to want to go down without a win. They're going to bring everything they've got next Saturday, and we need to be ready for that. So I think Bruce and Kev will have us ready, and we can go and hopefully get 5 points from there.
Well, Ewan, thank you very much for your time. A tremendous performance by the team, and from you individually, well done.
No bother, cheers.
Well, what a match that was today. Robin, whilst you're there, a terrific event, obviously, for the Poynder Park crowd, and I'm sure it was pretty much the biggest crowd of the season, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a big crowd. Stuart, we always knew that was going to be the case for such a key game, and my word, their boys have given them something to shout about this afternoon. As mentioned in commentary, that I'll be honest, they looked dead and buried, more because of the way that Currie were playing. They roared back into Currie. Currie were, architects of their own downfall to an extent, with a couple of yellow cards in the first half, one in the second half, players losing the plot a wee bit as well. The crowd got on top of them, and Kelso just thrived on it. They just grew into the game, and just big hearts got them through that, and 5 points, a famous victory here at Poynder today.
Well, thanks so much indeed for your efforts today, David Ferguson and Robin Purdie at that one. And we've just literally heard from Conor Bickerstaff, 80 points to 10.
So great win for us today. After not playing for several weeks, it's great to bounce back with the bonus point win at home. Jed's obviously stricken with a few boys being out, but nevertheless, it's always good to get a big win over Jed. When they come to Fullerton, they've obviously been a very difficult team for us over the years, so to put 80 points on them was a massive bonus and a good lift for our squad heading into a massive game next week away to Musborough. Good win, job done really, and move on to next week.
Thank you very much indeed to Conor Bickerstaff. That one just coming in, a big result for Mar in that game. Well, that's just about it for today. Next week it's going to be very interesting indeed, because we are going to be at Riverside Park for Jed Forest against Kelso. Following that result by Kelso, that is the game that we'll be obviously concentrating on next week. We'll also be all across the Selkirk game against Hawick, both of them kicking off at 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, had it been staggered, it might have been a different thing, but that's what we're going to be doing next week, and see if Kelso can get into that playoff position. In the Premiership today, there were victories for Selkirk, for Musselburgh, for Hawick, for Kelso and for Mar. In National 1, victories went to Biggar, Gala, GHA, Highland and Dundee. And in National 2, wins for Falkirk and Gordonians, Peebles, Stuart's Melville and Lasswade. And don't forget our weekly Scottish Club Rugby podcast. Episode 20 is available wherever you get your podcast from right now, with Dale Clancy and myself. As I say, we'll be back next Saturday when our commentary match will be Kelso against Jed Forest, a match being played at Riverside Park, a big derby there. And you think that's going to be a walkover for Kelso? Think again. Jed Forest, a very proud team indeed. And despite the defeat this afternoon at Mar, this is Jed Forest against Kelso. All bets are off. So much at stake next week. It's going to be an absolute humdinger of a game. And of course, don't forget the match between Selkirk and Hawick. That is for the Bill McLaren Shield. So hope you can join us then. It's going to be quite fun next week. We're going to look forward to it. But for now, from me and the team, a very good night.